This is not going to be the most objective podcast you've ever heard. This is a Kobe Bryant love fest, and we are recapping the entire career of Kobe Bryant, going season by season, and I've got the perfect guys to do it with me. And so, RealMindCrime, glad to have you back. The people love you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back. I had a great time with you guys, and I'm ready to do this Kobe tribute, man.
There's a lot of pressure on you to be the one objective one. You are a Phoenix Suns fan. The rest of us here, Kobe Laker fans. Yeah, pressure's on, bro.
Okay.
Skap, so happy to have you back. Everybody was happy to have you on the channel. How you doing?
Doing great, Johnny. A great time of the year here to celebrate the late, great Black Mamba. No better group of guys to do that with than you guys. So really happy to get into this conversation with all of you.
And then Dario, my best friend, my co-host of the Johnny Talks podcast, who is going to be out for blood to prove he is the biggest Kobe fan of them all. How you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm excited. I saw the last pod. You guys had a whole Kobe love fest, and I figured I should join.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, it was great.
That was like organic too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's not very often that you get like 4 people, seriously, who know this much about Kobe on a pod together. So I think it should be a lot of fun. So fellas, let's start it off with the very beginning. Kobe Bryant is drafted out of Lower Merion High School at the age of 17. He plays his first NBA game at the age of 18 to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, technically he was drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. They never had intentions to keep him, though. They just did that for the Lakers because the Lakers wanted him, and they traded Vlade Divac, who was actually a pretty quality, serviceable center at the time. So now they get him because they also knew they had Shaquille O'Neal coming in to be the center. Now, one of the things that happens is they got an old school head coach there in Del Harris, who doesn't really like playing teenagers in the starting lineup. Very old school mentality on that. So Kobe didn't start a single game in his rookie season. Should he have? What is Kobe's career and what does that team look like if he starts earlier? Obviously, they had Eddie Jones in the starting lineup. Tell me about it, guys. Do you think he should have been starting from the beginning?
It's difficult because situationally the Lakers were at a point where, look, Shaq was essentially entering his peak run span of time. So they drop a boatload of money on him in that same summer that they got Kobe Bryant from Charlotte. And then they have 2 serviceable, entrenched all-star guards. So it's difficult to say, like, we need to bring around this 18-year-old guy and get him, help, develop him and stuff into what we want him to be when you're trying to make deep playoff runs already, which is why, honestly, as a Kobe historian and fan, I wish he just stayed with Charlotte and got his 20 shot attempts a game from the get-go.
But
real? I do. We could get into that late. Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. I do, because Johnny, think about how bad the East was at the time. Think about those 9 NBA finals that LeBron went to and the 8 straight finals that LeBron went to. If you had Kobe running that Eastern Conference with a team built around him, I think he goes to at least as many finals as he did ultimately in his career with LA with 7. And I think he would have led the league in scoring probably 6, 7, 8 times maybe if he gets to start out right at 18, jacking 20 shots a game and kind of grow from there and have it be all about him versus having to sacrifice his individual offensive game basically for the first 8 full years of his career. But with all that said, I still believe Kobe deserved to play more than what he did in his rookie season. I don't know if he could have cracked the starting lineup necessarily with Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel there, but I still think he showed flashes. He had multiple 20-point games during that season when he actually had the opportunity. And look, I guess I have to defer ultimately to the late, great Jerry West, who worked Kobe out in that pre-draft individual workout where he said it was the greatest workout he had ever seen and that Kobe Bryant was the best player in that draft. So, and he was obsessed with getting him.
A loaded draft too.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Allen Iverson was the number 1 overall in that draft.
Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Steve Nash, even guys they don't talk about anymore. Antoine Walker, there was a ton of guys in there.
Strawberry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. But if Jerry West was that high on this guy at that point, I still think he was underutilized in 96, 97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chick Hearn. Chick Hearn was one of the people who said he should be starting. He's clearly has the talent to start. And in a famous clip, Del Harris kind of snapped back at that and said, "Well, Chick's commentator, I'm the head coach." Like he was a little sensitive about it. He was a big believer that Kobe hadn't earned those reps yet. So, what do you think about it, RMC?
I agree. This is a complicated one because I always try to put myself in the coach's seat there. And when you look at that lineup that they had, that starting lineup, it gets tough because Eddie Jones is an all-star at this point. If I'm not mistaken, he's the shooting guard to start shooting. You can't just bump him out for a 17-year-old kid, Yeah. What that would do to the rest of the team, I think would be a very negative thing if you did it right out of the gate. But when you pulled up that list, I see Cedric Ceballos at the 3. Right. Now that maybe after the All-Star break, if Kobe was really earning his spot in practice, because that's what we hear from all the players at the time, he was just dominating practices.
Right.
I could see Eddie Jones at the 3 and Kobe at the 2 working out pretty well.
Well, Ceballos was a little bit difficult. They ended up trading him early into the season. He only played 8 games with the team. They actually traded him for Robert Horry. Robert Horry, who was the team he was with previously, I believe it was Phoenix. It was Phoenix. He throws the towel into Danny Ainge's face. Right. It's amazing how many times Robert Horry's poor character has led to some of the greatest riches of a role player in NBA history. I bet he's so glad he threw that towel in Danny Ainge's
He's talked
face.
about it. I saw him on a podcast and he just laughs his ass off about it,
Yeah.
That could have ended my career. Instead, I get to win 3 more rings.
Yep.
Okay. But now that you said that with Robert Horry at the 3, I don't know, guys. I know it's the typical thing because now we have hindsight. We can go back and look that was one of the greatest of all time. How could you not play him? But where in the starting lineup does he go as a 17-year-old? Whose spot does he take? You going to really take out Robert Horry after everything he's accomplished?
This year, I'm cool with it. This year, I'm cool with him riding the bench a little bit. I mean, Kobe should have known what he was getting. He wanted to play with the men. He wanted to skip college. He could have done a year in college, but he came straight to the pros. Unfortunately, that has consequences. Heck, that's part of the reason he fell to the spot in the draft he fell in is because a lot of people just thought he wasn't NBA ready. A lot of people were saying, you're not Kevin Garnett. You're not 6'11". You're not immediately going to have an impact in the NBA. And so because of that, he had to wait. But I also think within these years, there's stuff that's forgotten. Kobe was egotistical. Kobe was turning the ball over a lot, regardless of the fact that he's only playing 15 minutes a game. He's still got high turnover numbers. Yep. He's making a lot of mistakes. He's I get that's been a thing throughout his career, but he hasn't earned the right to be a ball hog yet at this point of his career.
But mindset though wise, Johnny, the fact that he was only getting 15 and a half minutes a game. Do you think that messed with his head because he was so eager to prove himself?
Absolutely.
I think so too. I think he turned into a chucker out there in his first year because he was desperate to get to be recognized.
Yeah.
I think that's still on him, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I that's exactly what I was gonna say. I feel like that's it seems like I feel like I'm blaming the coach on this one, but I do feel like it's him not working out with the coach well, and then the minutes that he does have, he feels like he's kind of forcing those just to kind of get to his game. I could see the 2, averaging almost 2 turnovers in 15 minutes, but in reality, it's your first round pick. He should be averaging more than 15 minutes a game. I understand not being a starter, but there's no reason he shouldn't be at around 25 minutes a game. If that's your first round, your first 13th pick of the first round, your GM saying he's the best player he's seen, that doesn't make any sense in my opinion.
Well, then on top of that, Kobe hardly plays. Then we get to the NBA playoffs, okay? And eventually they run into the Utah Jazz. And the Lakers, they were already trailing in the series. I think they were either down 2-0 or 3-0, but they're in Utah, right? And who gets the ball? Because they didn't have an established shooter. They didn't have a closer that they trusted in that situation. That's their words, not mine. Yeah. So they give the ball to Kobe Bryant. And what proceeds to happen? 4 air balls in that situation. So give me some opinions on the air balls, guys. Do you hold that against Kobe? Do you hold that against the coach? Give me some thoughts on that.
I personally love the air balls. I think this is the best part of Kobe's story, in my opinion. I think having a young kid in a situation that he shouldn't have been in, averaging 15 minutes a game, in his very first season, having issues with the coach, and the coach relying on him at the end, and him not, him falling short, and then that pretty much complete, like him showing for the rest of his career that doesn't matter. It would have hurt so many other guys, and that a 17-year-old who has that level of failure, that breaks guys. Think about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons messed up a layup in his like 8th season, and now he's broken for the rest of his life. And Kobe Bryant, very first season, this happens. It breaks any other guy, and it doesn't because he's Kobe Bryant. So I personally love the story because it makes Kobe Kobe. But obviously, and if we're gonna talk like X's and O's, I think it's crazy for a coach to not believe in you the entire season and then rely on you for the when it matters the most.
100%.
So yeah.
I think it's just, a testament to his, the Mamba mentality. It was even within him all the way back at the beginning where, after 2 air balls, he's still shooting them at that age. And then to your point, Daryl, it didn't break him. Like, it just emboldened him to like basically come back and be better, get better, and essentially prove to everybody that was an aberration. Like, if anything, it drove him to be better. It was the exact opposite of what you were talking that it would do to several other players, cripple them, destroy them, break them. It actually made Kobe more resolute that he was going to come back and be better. And for someone that it was so young and so inexperienced at that stage of just his life, forget about as a basketball player, it really does just speak volumes to the mental fortitude that this guy had in spades.
Yeah, I got to agree 100% with both of you guys. Like, I know a lot of people see this as a stain on his legacy, but I think this is a great part of his journey. I mean, he's a rookie. He's a kid at this point, and he has the bravery to do this and do it and do it and do it. And instead of, when you guys were listing some names like Ben Simmons, I can't help but think of like Nick Anderson for the Orlando Magic back in the day with those missed free throws and what that did to his psyche. Yeah, like it can happen that easily, and especially a young kid trying to prove himself the first year. And we know his ego was pretty high at this point, but he's still like he came back and he made it like he went in with like logic, and that's what I like about it, because he talked about this after he retired, and he said, well, he had to sit with himself and ask himself, why did this happen? Why did this just happen to me? Okay. My first year as an NBA player, 82 games. I just came out of high school. I have no legs. Every single shot was short. And I don't know if you guys noticed, every shot was short by like a foot. What's that tell you? You guys have taken jump shots before, right? That means you got no legs. Your legs are absolutely dead because your arms are going to be fine. You can do the follow through, but if you got no lift underneath, you're going to come up short. So instead of beating himself up all year, all off season, he was conditioning his legs. And that's why I love the story, because he turned something embarrassing, something so negative into, all right, now I'm going to turn this into a strength. And I don't think after that, I don't recall him ever being gassed out of a game, not being able to perform in the last 6 minutes of a fourth quarter. He turned that into a strength. And Shaq says a lot of nonsense, but he was dead right about this one. People laughing at you now, but they'll be fearing you in the future. This one came true.
I'm surprised Shaq had the maturity in the moment, because that I don't know if I could have done that in Shaq's situation. You see this 18-year-old kid just shoot you out of a playoff game. You're probably mad at the coach. You might be mad at the kid, but you're probably mostly mad at the coach. To show that poise and immediately go over there and like speak confidence to him, that's maturity. Because I have to bring it up, especially with you guys here. LeBron in the 2017 finals, after what J.R. Smith did, how boneheaded was that? How much did scrum over? Just there pouting the whole time. Meanwhile, Shaq, he just shot him out of a game, literally. Just airball after airball, shot him out of the game. And he has the wherewithal to go over there and build up his confidence so they'll come back stronger next year. You're right. Stuff from Shaq.
I absolutely agree. That showed some real maturity and leadership on his part.
Yeah. So we jump ahead to the next season. 1997 to 1998. And a lot of people forget like how good this team was. There was NBA Finals discussion frequently throughout this year because now Kobe's better. They're 61-21, and they've got 4 All-Stars on the team now. Okay. Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kobe Bryant. But interestingly enough, Kobe's still not starting. He played 79 games that year, only started 1 of those games, averaging 15.4 points, second and 6th man of the year. So now, has Kobe earned that yet? You guys have any thoughts on that? 1998 was a crazy season. Eventually, they get eliminated by the Utah Jazz, who sweep them out of the NBA playoffs. What are your guys' thoughts on this season?
Yeah, Kobe should unequivocally have been starting this season. And I think, honestly, he could have won 6th man of the year, which a lot of people don't realize that he was second that year in 6th man voting. And I honestly think he should have won it. Go ahead. You could say
31-year-old Danny Manning, too, who played 9 less games. Interesting.
So
a little bit more efficient for Manning.
On Phoenix?
Yeah.
That would have been crazy though if Kobe actually had his 6th man of the year award on his trophy case.
Right?
That would have been crazy. Not a lot of people know how highly he finished that year, but he was terrific in the opportunities he got and the moments he got in that season. He was terrific, and he did it for a 61-win team, as you noted. So I really thought he should have been 6th man. To me, the indelible moment for me about that season was, of course, the game. I think it was in mid-December in the United Center against the Chicago Bulls, the ultimately NBA champion Chicago Bulls. And of course, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who the Lakers got absolutely waxed in that game. Kobe played, though, 28 or 29 minutes, and he had an even 0 on the plus-minus scale when he was in the game. And it's not like he was just going against the bench. Like, there were moments him and Jordan were going against each other. Kobe was being guarded by Jordan. Jordan was guarding Kobe. Jordan had 36 in that game, but Kobe at 19 had 33 points on 12 of 20 shooting in United Center against peaked Michael Jordan and year's NBA champion Chicago Bulls. And that was in a span of like 4 games, guys. I think he had like 30, 27, 19 in those 33. Like, I don't know what more this guy had to do to earn the starts during that season.
We could keep talking about this, but we got to get through 20 seasons of this. This one's kind of more of the same.
You know what? Yeah. I'll put in a 5-second take. Just go back to the lineup real quick.
Yes.
Go back to the line, because to me, this is an obvious yes. I'm saying if I'm coach, Eddie Jones at the 3, Rick Fox is coming off the bench. I'm sorry, buddy. And Kobe's my starting shooting guard. Right there is where I would have put him. I think he earned that spot. No offense to Rick Fox, but yeah, I'm not starting Rick Fox over Kobe Bryant. I'm just not going to do it.
I think you have the right call too. 3-point shooting isn't as valuable at this time in the NBA. On top of that, Eddie Jones, people forget, like, that's the biggest aspect that I understand for not starting Kobe, because Eddie Jones was a two-way force. Okay. 17 points per game, second team all defense this year. So having him play defense at the 3 to help alongside Kobe on the wings. Yeah, I would have been cool with that for sure as well.
Safe to say, I agree with all of you guys. He definitely should be a starter. I just need to throw in some Jordan hate here, so just give me a second. I just need because I feel like this gets lost in like translation. Whenever we talk about Jordan, Kobe, and all this stuff, people make it seem like it wasn't close. Kobe at 19 years old, coming head to head with Michael Jordan, and sure he didn't one up him, but he definitely was going toe to toe. And this is 19-year-old Kobe. As raw as it comes. Now imagine
06 Kobe.
06
Kobe. Sure.
Sure, this is not straight up,
Well, then we're going to play the game where we're going to put him against Jordan. Like 93 Jordan or something now.
Yeah, like 98 Jordan is a 93 Jordan, but
and remember what Jordan did, or what Kobe did to Jordan when, yes, Jordan was over the hill in Washington, but remember when Kobe put the double nickel, like just a different mindset. Like, you see LeBron, honestly, in those head-to-heads with Kobe early on, shy away, not want it. Kobe was like, no. I'm going to bust this dude's ass right now. I'm going to score on him every single time.
Gave him a 55-piece farewell.
MJ's my favorite player, but literally Kobe sent him into retirement. Like that was it. But I always called that game, Skap, like the passing of the torch. Actually, it was more like, give me the damn torch. It's time. You know, like you can't do this no more. And then, I don't know if you guys have seen that game recently, but when MJ at the end, he draws that charge on Kobe and they start laughing their ass off. I love that moment because it's like, you got it. You know, take it. Take it.
It's just a mutual respect thing. It's like, it's nothing personal. It's just like he, if anything, appreciates that mindset. So
Johnny,
now,
I mean, Jordan challenged him to that with the shoes comment. You know, you can wear them, but you'll never fill them. So he was like, he was poking the bear, like, what are you gonna do about it, kid? And then he roasted a damn occasion. So yeah,
sure. So the next season is one of my favorite seasons in NBA history, not from the perspective of how it ended with the Lakers, with the fact that, dude, this one's got wild drama. So you got the 1998 to 1999 season. It's a lockout shortened season, okay? They only played 50 games. What a lot of people miss is they started playing games on February 1st. They had to play 50 games in 90 days. So you're not just getting back-to-backs. You're getting back-to-back-to-backs, and then you'll get like one day off. Then you get back-to-backs. Like it's a full-on sprint to wrap up this season. So a weird year for everybody. But like halfway through the season, they fired Del Harris. So finally he's out, but they have Kurt Rambis step in. And once again, probably not the best guy. Doesn't have the gravitas. Unfortunately, you could see this as a flaw for Shaquille O'Neal. If there wasn't a guy who had that prestige, who instilled that confidence just from his resume, Shaq's not respecting you from like day one. So, but Kobe, he's getting a little bit better. Okay. Now we're up to 20 points per game, third team All NBA, most efficient season by far, shooting 46.5%. And now he's in the starting lineup. Okay. Halfway through the season, they add Dennis Rodman. People forget about the thing about Rodman.
Oh boy. Yeah.
They were good at first. They won their first 10 games straight when they had Dennis Rodman in the lineup. But without Phil Jackson's on a hiatus right now. That's the thing that kills me. Phil Jackson could have been there for this team. So if you got Phil Jackson, Dennis Rodman, Kobe, and Shaq, could this team have won a championship? I mean, they lost in a 4-game sweep to San Antonio. Give me some thoughts, guys.
Just to answer the Dennis Rodman thing real quick, I absolutely, if Phil Jackson was there and he would, because Dennis saw Phil as like a father figure, you know, he would run through a brick wall for him, and then he saw MJ as his brother, like he would do the same for MJ. If he's got one of them and he's got Phil there, dude, like the problems that were happening between like Shaq and Dennis, you know, because like Shaq has made it evident he hated Dennis Rodman when he was on the team. You know, Phil could have explained, this is how we did it with the Bulls. We won 3 championships this way. Just let him be him. He's going to get 24 rebounds a game, and half of those are going to be second chance points for you, big man. Just let him do his thing. I think they could have won a championship, man. Can you imagine getting like 10 to 12 more second chance opportunities when you got Kobe Bryant, Eddie Jones, and, you know, Glenn Rice and Shaquille O'Neal? Like, forget about it. I think that would have been the X factor, but maybe Dennis should have showered a couple more times and Shaq wouldn't have been so mad. I don't know.
I really do think it was a matter of bad, lackluster coaching at that time and not fully unleashing Kobe Bryant. I think those were their 2 biggest issues that season. I think they absolutely had the talent and the ability to win it that year. I mean, remember, there's a grudge match kind of that will occur that we'll talk about in 2 seasons from now between the Spurs and the Lakers. But when they play in that 2001 season, obviously they showed that they had the ability to play with the Spurs team that swept them in the playoffs. I think it was just a matter of honestly, it was stuck under Harris and then the Ramby. Once you got like a legitimate, viable coach in there that knew how to juggle, not just unleash Kobe Bryant, but juggle the dynamic between Kobe and Shaq, it was game over for 3 straight years.
Yeah, for sure. Dario, you got anything on that before we jump to the next season?
No, I agree. I think they wouldn't have been ready. Even so, like I think Phil's first season having to deal with all of the dynamics. I think it would have been tough to win that year against San Antonio, especially like San
So
Antonio.
you're saying they don't win in '99, even if they had Phil?
No, I don't think so. I think it's too maybe my bad. Maybe I misinterpreted what you guys said. I think San Antonio had the perfect attack for Shaq because you got the Twin Towers, right? And then honestly, like to figure out the Kobe Shaq dynamic within a year, especially mid-year too, because it would have been 2 coaching changes and then getting Phil is what I'm assuming what would have happened. I think that's asking a lot of Phil.
I don't think that's going to happen, though. The reason why Phil wasn't because if Phil Jackson's available and, Shaq made it clear he wanted Phil Jackson. I think if he's available, they probably just fired Del Harris in the offseason to bring in Phil Jackson. But they didn't do that because Phil was like, I want to go hang out in the mountains of Montana and just basically unwind. So the what if is basically just if Phil Jackson came a year earlier, just to skip the unwinding process, basically.
Yeah, I still think it at least takes a year for him to. I mean, I guess he did it. He did it the next year, so I can't really say that. But I feel like Kobe was also another year into his career, a little bit more matured at that point, and then. I feel like it would have been tough, but
San Antonio was so good, though. There was a big drop off for David Robinson after this season because David Robinson was like 3rd in the Defensive Player of the Year race while averaging something like 16 points per game. So there was I know in 2003 he's not that same beast, but in 1999 they were a legitimate 2-man force, and he even finished ahead of Tim Duncan in the Defensive Player of the Year race that year. So yeah, I think the decline was a part of that. I think I'm with Dario. To go from a 4-game sweep to they beat them, it's a little bit tough for me, but God, I wish I could have seen it played out because they look so good.
They get a couple games though, at least. They're definitely not getting swept. I
don't know, because again, when they got swept, they didn't have Dennis. To have him help, is he going to help out with David Robinson and Tim Duncan down low? You bet he is.
I can't think of anybody better to help out against the Twin Towers, man. Grab some rebounds.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we go on to the next season. Finally, some glory days. 1999 to 2000, the team ends up going 67-15 early in the year. This is where we have the famous Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal fight. But the Lakers, they've hit their stride. Everything's clicking. Now they have Phil Jackson aboard. Kobe averages 22.5 points per game. This is his first year being first team all defense. By the way, 5th in the Defensive Player of the Year race.
Nice.
5th. Bleacher Report ranked this guy 42, and by the time he's 21, he's 5th in DPOY, 12 all defense team. Screw yourself, Bleacher Report.
Johnny, real quick, in that playoffs, Kobe Bryant had 30 blocks and 30 steals, one of only 2 instances in league history where a guard did that in a playoff run.
Yeah, just crazy. So we know what happens. Now Kobe's not just a starter, but I think this is where he truly asserted himself as a superstar.
I mean, look at the minutes and the shot attempts. He's the number 2 guy. He's established.
For sure.
18 shots a game behind Shaq's 21.
For sure.
38 minutes behind his 40. Yeah, he's the clear number 2 guy here.
But this is also now where you start seeing Kobe hitting big shots because they have that 5-game series with Sacramento. So best of 5. That was tough because Sacramento's always tough. But then in Phoenix, in game 2, he hits that double pump game winner. And then Portland. Guys, I want to hear some thoughts on the Portland series from the Kobe angle.
Ooh, yeah.
They were up by 15 points. Portland was heading into the 4th quarter. I still hear fans talking today that series was rigged, like it was rigged against the Kings allegedly in 2002. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I might be the oldest person here.
No, I think I got you beat, Skap. Born 82?
I was 83.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
But Dario, how old are you?
Dario's 65. Okay. No, go ahead. 33. Yeah, okay. All right.
So you do have me beat, but we're about the same age.
We're the same. Yeah.
I believe I was in the 9th grade for that game, and I was a monstrous Kobe Bryant fan already. And I just remember destroying my room at the end of the 3rd quarter, basically just accepting, because the Lakers were up 3-1 in that series. And I remember a cover of the LA Times, I think, when it got pushed into game 7, it was a split shot of Kobe and Shaq on the left and then the whole Trailblazers team on the right, and it said TWO deep versus TOO deep. So like the Trailblazers just overwhelmed them with like the totality of their team. And they were burying the Lakers through the end of the third quarter. It was 13 points in game 7. And I just laid, after I destroyed my room, I wrapped my head in like a Kobe jersey and just laid on the ground. And I was still listening. I was still listening though to the game and the comeback mounting. So I finally, like, I got back up and I started watching it. I started watching a few plays before the famed crossover where Kobe jacks Pippen up and then like tosses the oop to Shaq. But I don't see how or what the premise is for a rigging of that game. John, like the fourth quarter was like 37-13 or something outrageous.
Yep.
Like, I don't know exactly like what the conspiracy theorists would be suggesting was the rig job in that.
I'm putting it before you, but to be fair, I have similar thoughts. I don't get it. I saw a Portland Trailblazer team disappear, but continue, Skap.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that game specifically was the Kobe Bryant coming out. Like, he had flashed moments and stuff throughout his career, but that game in particular, do or die, must have it. Game 7, we know they're going to win. Yes, Indiana was a tough opponent coming out of the East, but you kind of knew whoever won that series was going to win the NBA championship. And Kobe Bryant led that game for either team in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. That's why it's so laughable to hear Shaq carried Kobe, because this is on their first run. They don't even get into the finals without Kobe Bryant in that game 7.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Music to my ears. I do have to say, just to add, not so much the Kobe piece, but I think this is where having Phil Jackson mattered a ton.
Yes.
Because Phil Jackson has his speech in that fourth quarter. And I think, like, we've seen so many times before that, if you pay attention to Shaq's career, so many times he got swept on his way out of the ending his season. And Shaq, to have that head coach that's just a leader and to push them in that way, to where what I'm referring to is Phil Jackson telling the team, you could just quit here. And that's the exact thing you needed to tell those guys, because a guy like Kobe and Shaq are not gonna, they're not gonna just end their season like that. So that's what caused them to go on a run, and obviously telling Kobe that is gonna make him just go straight beast mode like he did.
That took some serious balls for a head coach to try the reverse psychology thing, because that's what he did. And Shaq tells the story of the end of the third quarter, heading into the fourth quarter. They're down 13 points because, like, Brian Shaw just hit a 3-point shot to cut it down from 16 to 13. So they're down 13 and they have no momentum. They've looked dead. Their offenses look dead. On top of that, you got to remember, they were up 3-1 in this series. So they're looking like they're about to blow a 3-1 lead on their home court, along with the narratives of Shaq's a closer. Shaq can't get it done in the postseason. Kobe's too young. They can't get it done. And that's what has happened. They've had championship hopes, and they lost in 97, they lost in 98, they lost in 99, and it looks like they're going to lose in 2000. And then Phil just goes, yeah, you guys just weren't good enough. I guess you guys just didn't want it as much. It was a good effort, though. We had a good season. Next year will probably be our year, that sort of thing. And the team's just fuming, man. And you could see it. Like, if you start watching that fourth quarter and you watch the first 3 quarters, the energy of the team looks different. Specifically, Kobe. Kobe goes into attack mode after that, and closed it out in the fashion that he did. So that, to me, that was one of the ballsiest moves. Like, how many coaches are actually going to do that in that situation? Because if they fail, on top of the fact that the head coach just said all those things about them, Shaq, who has snitched on players and coaches before, could go up to general management and be like, Phil Jackson quit on us. So Phil, to try to pull that move, that took some cojones to try to do that. That's
those
cool.
3 chips.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, RMC.
I just recently watched the pod, one of the pods, because Shaq mentions this story all the time about Phil. He's like, all right, guys, it was a good season. Time to wrap it up. They're kicking our ass. It was a good one. See you next year. And the next thing you see is like him and Kobe going back into the game. They're pumping each other. They're yelling at each other. Basically, are we going to freaking do this or what? And they did. I don't to go back to the beginning. I don't think at all this was rigged. Sacramento, I got to keep it real. That's to me that was always that was the most rigged thing I've ever seen. But this one, I never saw this as a rigging. I saw this as an ass whooping. This was an embarrassment for Portland. I think a couple of things happened. Pippen realized he didn't have his closer anymore, and how important it is to have a closer in a big series like this. To because who would have stopped that run? A Jordan score, midi. Every time that you start pushing, you needed an answer. Pippen, I love him as a defender. I love him as a facilitator, but he's not that guy, that closer. Two, I have to pose the question. Because I just recently watched the play like about 10 times over, just like trying to analyze it. That play, Skap, that you brought up, where Kobe crosses Pippen with one dribble, blows by him. He's got two helpers coming in. Now we got three guys surrounding Kobe. The lob goes to Shaq. Seal the deal. If Pippen stays in front of him, man, what happens? Does Portland figure this out and close the deal? And do they win? That one play to me is like that was the make or break play. And
really? I don't think so. I disagree. I strongly disagree. Because they were up by 4 points. I feel like that was the last nail on the coffin, personally. Because at that point they had momentum, and then they throw that lob to Shaq. They go up 6, and now it's like, oh, it's over.
Game. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe
got a pivotal block in that stretch too.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I maybe it would have kept it interesting, because it was weird, because like the Lakers fought back, and then finally when the game's close, you saw Portland come awake. So you might have like a really good game, and who knows, maybe Portland does take it if that lob doesn't happen. But it's interesting because I saw it a little bit differently. What I will say against the whole rigging thing, listen, if part of the rig and the conspiracy is that they wanted the Lakers to get in the finals, and that would make sense with Shaq and Kobe, but this team went scoreless for 9 minutes, and they had 13 straight shots without a make.
Wow.
Okay, is there magnets, like reverse magnets, like keeping it from going? It's got to be something like that in order for that to work, because they just couldn't make a shot. Some of them were gimmies. Some of them were great defensive plays for the Lakers. I didn't see the constant whistles that I saw with the 2002 Kings. So to me, this was legitimate. I thought it was one of the greatest games in NBA history. Skap told his story. I'll tell my story. I was watching this game. It felt like they were going to lose the entire time. My dad gets anxiety watching these games. I'm like 12 years old at this point. And so I'm watching. I'm glued to the TV. He leaves the bedroom. And by the time we're like in 3 points, I'm like, Dad, it's a one possession game.
Yeah.
So he comes back, and he obviously sees the lob, and it was just jubilee, man. What a run. But yeah, to your
Johnny,
point,
I was on the other side of this, by the way. I
you were rooting against the Lakers?
because Pippen's my guy. I mean, I was a big Bulls fan. I wanted more success for Pippen. I wanted Pippen to do it as the guy. And that one broke my heart, man. That whole series broke my heart. But you're right. Pippen didn't have that guy. He didn't have that guy. Rasheed Wallace was probably their best player. Steve Smith can get a bucket, and so could Damon, but like I guess they all just choked. I mean, what else is there to say if you go 0 for what now? What'd you say, Johnny?
They missed 13 straight shots before Rasheed Wallace finally made one and put a stop to the bleeding.
And I love those players.
Over a 9-minute stretch in the fourth quarter.
I love that whole lineup, man. Sabonis. Like, I love these guys, but what is that called? That's just with this pressure, this amount of pressure. Some people can do it. Some people can't. Nobody rose up. They all just bricked it, man.
So they go on to win in the NBA Finals. We know what happens. Kobe, it's more of the same. We could talk about it, but rolls the ankle, comes back, steps up for Shaq in overtime. Now, Shaq gets the Finals MVP with one of the greatest Finals runs, Finals MVPs in the history of the league. But again, he needs Kobe to help win, some of those games and such.
He needed a closer. Am I right? Like the last 2 minutes when it goes to Hack-a-Shack time, that's where his vulnerability enters the game. He needed somebody like a Dwayne Wade or a Kobe Bryant to just get it done while he's sitting his ass on the bench the last 2 minutes.
And let me just say real quick, one of the we can talk obviously all day about these revisionist things, these annoying little things that people say about Kobe. But one of the things that really drives me crazy is when people say how many points he averaged in that final series. Like, he rolled his ankle in the first quarter of that game and had
which we know now was intentional.
Right.
Like Jalen Rose said he did it on purpose.
Right. But like he rolled his ankle. Like he got a 0 points per game in one of these 6 games. Like obviously that's going to depreciate your points per game average for a 6-game series. And then even look, guys, we know one of the things about Kobe is how tough he was. He missed a game. Like because that ankle injury was so severe. And then the game he came back was the game that he had those miraculous heroics in the overtime to essentially end the series. So it's just crazy, like how people don't credit Kobe enough for even that first finals run that they got to and won.
And hearing him and Gary Vitti talk about it is really weird too, because it's like Gary Vitti talks about the fact that he was like adjusting his foot and they got this loud pop out of it. And he was like, that could be a good thing or a really horrible thing. And Kobe was worried at first. So he walks around and he feels pretty good. It was like a chiropractor thing. He just popped it. Kobe's feeling better. And so that's what it took to get Kobe out there to close that game. And again, I brought it up in just our last episode with, me and Skap when we were having our own conversation on his channel. Go check that out. How good is this kid? That was the words of Bob Costas. Such a great line, like a timeless line there. So let's move on to the next season. One of the greatest seasons in NBA history for a team.
Not for a Suns fan.
Not for a Suns fan. That's true.
I was already sick and tired of these Lakers, man.
This team was fascinating. Because the Lakers, if you remember, there was 2 words that used to come up all the time when I was watching this as a teenager. There was the switch. The Lakers have the ability to just hit that switch when the playoffs come around. And there was another term, killer instinct, and whether or not they had it. I don't think they had it, honestly, a lot of the time in the regular season because they'd coast. They were confident in their abilities to turn it on when it mattered the most. Now, they add Horace Grant to the team. Horace Grant's a little older. Glenn Rice leaves because he was very unhappy with his role there. Management was unhappy with him. So we lose a 3-point shooter in Glenn Rice, but we get Horace Grant. Horace Grant is supposed to be our reliable third option, but he isn't. He isn't playing good in the regular season. The Lakers go 56-26. They're actually a horrible team defensively. They have a defensive rating. They were 21st out of 29, but second best offense. So there's all kinds of weird question marks heading into this season. Kobe spends some time hurt. They come back and then they go on an 8-game winning streak heading into the playoffs. Then they hit that switch. And they go on the run they go on. What did you guys think about this season? Does this team has a legitimate case as the greatest team of all time, seeing that they went 15-1 through the postseason? There's a lot to talk about here. Start wherever you want.
It is the greatest team in NBA history.
Okay.
It is. Because no time ever in NBA, and I know Kobe only made second team All-NBA that year, which is a crime in my estimation. No time ever in NBA history could you say that the 2 best players in the entire planet were on the same team in their prime? Like there's no other pairing, no other combination of players.
Even with Allen Iverson winning MVP, you're giving it to Shaq and Kobe?
I believe that year that Kobe and Shaq were the 2 best players on planet Earth, and they play. And if you want to say Duncan's in the mix, I honestly would not put Allen Iverson in the mix. I would say it was Shaq, Kobe, and Duncan at that point. Some whatever way you wanted to order those guys. But the way Kobe played in that postseason, and the way Shaq played in that postseason, the level that they played at, it wasn't a very well-rounded starting 5. It wasn't a very deep team. But those 2 players were so utterly dominant. And look at the run in the playoffs. Johnny, I won't spend too much time on it. I'll turn it over to you guys. But they had the second most difficult SRS run in playoff history. So they faced the second hardest gauntlet of competition ever, behind only Hakeem Olajuwon's 95 run. And in that run, guys, they had the second best differential for years. Now, the Knicks just broke the all-time differential record this year. The 2016-17 Warriors are second. But this Lakers team in 2000-2001 through the whole postseason has the 3rd best differential ever in a year where they faced the second hardest competition ever. and they lost only one game, which was an overtime game when Iverson, that year's league MVP, went berserk in game one. Other than that, Johnny, to your point, they ended 8-0 to end the season, then 15-1 the playoffs. How does 23-1 in the last 24 games grab you? Yes, to me, the best team in NBA history.
Yep. For me, that strength of competition is just insane because, again, a Portland Trailblazers team, they just went to 7 games with the previous season. Now they sweep them in the first round. Sacramento Kings, we know the rivalry they had. They went the distance with them in 5 games the previous year. They'll go the distance with them next year in 7 games in the Western Conference Finals. Then the San Antonio Spurs. People forget just how good the San Antonio Spurs team was. They were 58-24. They had the best record in the entire NBA. So they had home court advantage. On top of that, this is the Spurs team that eliminated the Lakers in 1999. In 2000, San Antonio wasn't completely healthy. So San Antonio fans are saying, hey, now we're completely healthy. We got home court advantage. Sure, you're sweeping the first 2 rounds right until you face a real team. So we face that real team. We face the team with the best record. And what happens? Kobe and Shaq go absolutely off, and we win by an average margin of victory of 22.2 points per game. In an era where they're not scoring as much, holding San Antonio to 81 points per game. So you go from the 21st best defense in the league through the regular season to holding the best record in the NBA, San Antonio Spurs, to 81 points per game. And then Kobe, again, if Western Conference Finals MVP existed at that time, there's your guy. 33, 7-7, 1.5 steals on 51% shooting from the field. Okay, this is why they went out and got Bruce Bowen, because this guy's always a Spurs killer. Okay, so they do that, and yeah, it took one of the greatest finals performances in NBA history from Allen Iverson just to keep this team from being undefeated.
And Johnny, the Sixers were really good. They won like 56 games that year. Yeah. They had the MVP, the sixth man of the year, the defensive player of the year, and the coach of the year. So does it piss you off when people say that Allen Iverson carried that team? A little bit, yeah, because Johnny, I just said they had the sixth man of the year, the defensive player of the year, and the coach of the year that year.
I will say this. I think they need to be more specific. I think Allen Iverson carried that team offensively. If you do not have Allen Iverson on that team, this will be probably the lowest scoring team in the entire league. But you have to say offensively, because again, sixth man of the year, defensive player of the year, 7th defensive player of the year. And even if you want to include Allen Iverson, that's more the steals. I would not have voted him that high, but 11th in defensive player of the year. And so, yeah, this team is more well-rounded than they're given credit for, but I got to give respect to Iverson for at least carrying the offense the way he did. Dario, you got anything? Greatest team of all time? Agree, disagree?
I don't agree on the greatest team of all time, only because I feel, and this is only because the regular season versus playoffs are 2 different teams, in my opinion. Like, to me, the playoff version of the Lakers are the most dominant team we've ever seen. And but I think the regular season, there was just too much. Like, starting the season, Kobe obviously going on his tear. Shaq was he started off the season out of shape. So that already caused issues. And honestly, what made them start, like, everything click was Kobe getting injured at the end of the season.
Yes.
Him seeing them go on a run and then kind of just wanting to play into it rather than, continuously fighting for that power. It was that power.
Kobe came back after the injury and was a little bit more of a facilitator. So now he was like doing both things, and it really helped them out.
Yeah. But I think that version of
D Fish missed like all but 6 games that year, I think, as well. Is that right?
That is true. That is a great point. And then look what happens in the playoffs. We can give love to Shaq and Kobe, and I agree. In terms of peak, arguably the greatest 1-2 punch we've ever seen in a single season. For me, it is. But Derek Fisher in the postseason, he was that third guy. He rose up to be that third guy because he was third in the team in scoring 13.4 points. But while leading the team in 3-pointers attempted, he hit 51.5% of his threes. When you got Shaq and Kobe playing peak basketball, and then you got Fisher hitting 51.5%, no wonder they went 15-1 blowing out teams like the Spurs. How do you stop that?
So that factors in, though, the fact that he missed 70 whatever, 6, that factors into their porous regular season as well.
Yeah, I'll always be an advocate for D-Fish getting way more credit than he gets for those championships. But to close this out real quick, this year, For me, let's see. Are they the greatest team of all time? The playoff version of them, yes. They were so good that as a fan going against them, I was like throwing fits at that point. Like, this isn't fair. This is BS. You know, the NBA just loves the freaking Lakers. I guess not much has changed, but you know, that's really how I felt. And I was like, this is just a lopsided thing. Nobody can beat these guys. And it turns out the only thing that could stop this in the future was Shaq being out of shape. That was the only thing. Because if they were all, you know, if it wasn't him working himself back into shape every year, I don't think there was anybody who was going to rise up for the next 5 or 6 years that could beat these guys. But because this is a Kobe tribute, I want to bring something up for this year. Now, and Skap, I know you did this. This drives you crazy. Now, year one of this three-peat, I get it. Shaq was the primary guy. You have to give it up to the big man. But year 2 and championship 3, look, yeah, thank you. How can you not say that these guys are equals here? This is the most obvious 1-2 co-leader, co-captain situation I think we've ever seen in NBA history. Have you ever seen one? Like, look at the stats, how evenly distributed they are. How do you put one above the other? I don't feel like that's fair. And when people say, oh, Shaq carried him, yeah, I feel like you could get away with that comment because a lot of Kobe haters say it. You can get away with that for year 1. Year 2 and year 3, we're not seeing the same thing, man. You know,
guys,
Kobe earned a spot.
I challenge you guys to go look at the all-time great players and their finals runs and see how many of them had better stat lines than this one, than Kobe had as an alleged second option or whatever. Like, this is more points per game than LeBron averaged in 3 of his 4 finals runs.
Wow.
So it's just like, it's outrageous that people say that he was carried or whatever. I mean, and think about it. We're in the mid 90s in points per game, and that's what his stat line was.
And Skap, take a look real quick at field goal attempts. What do you see there? I mean, how do you call that the second option?
Yeah.
He's taking the most shots.
And leading the fourth quarter in scoring, leading the NBA playoffs in clutch time scoring. It's just, it's a ridiculous narrative. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm sorry, Dario, real quick.
No,
it's not meant to disrespect Shaq. Like, it's not. They were both the captains there. And everyone needs to do this. Like, oh, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. This just wasn't that situation. It was literally both of them. Dario, my bad.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that obviously Shaq was the start going into the season and everything. He was considered the number one option. But the thing is, like, Shaq needed to say Kobe needed Shaq, sure, but Shaq absolutely needed Kobe.
Yep.
And I think this made them so dominant and really made it so that it wasn't even close. Because you know, the level that Kobe was at the year before, he wasn't quite that superstar yet. And then finally, once he gets into the superstardom and really like a top 2, okay, arguably top 3, we all know, at least top 2 player in the league, it just made it not fair for the league anymore. And what they really needed was the media to help stop this.
Yeah. What I will say is I don't even necessarily agree that Shaq was the number one option. It's the phrasing I don't agree with, because they both had clearly defined roles. To me, Shaq was the engine of the offense in the sense that he was the centerpiece for the triangle offense, and Phil Jackson's agenda was always to run things through Shaq.
Yep.
Even before he played with the Lakers, he has been quoted like salivating over the idea of playing the triangle offense with a guy like Shaq, who demands that much attention, who can pass the ball as well as Shaq. But with that said, Phil Jackson has described the triangle offense is you always need like a free thinker. You always need a wild card who can take over the offense when the triangle breaks down. Guess who that was for the Bulls? Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Guess who that was for the Lakers? Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
On top of that, Kobe was the closer because, like you mentioned, Shaq's one of the worst free throw shooters some years, the worst free throw shooter in the entire league. You can't trust him in the fourth quarter because of the hack Shaq. So how am I going to call Shaq, the number one option when he's sitting in some fourth quarters and Kobe's taking the last shot? In some contexts, Kobe was number one. In some contexts, Shaq was number one. And they're two alphas. You could say Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan are a better tandem because they won 6 championships, but it's pretty clear who's number 1 and who's number 2. It's pretty clear who the best player is on the court every single time they go out there. But with Shaq and Kobe, I mean, we saw it in that series against Sacramento, just to bring that up real quick. Look at the way this unfolded in this 4-game sweep against the Sacramento Kings. Game 1, Shaq, 44 points, 21 rebounds. Game 2, Shaq, 43 points, 20 rebounds. Now they go out on the road with the Cowbells in Sacramento. Kobe's like, my turn. Kobe gets 36 points, and in Game 4, Kobe gets 48 points, 16 rebounds. Remember when they were calling Victor Wembanyama the greatest 22-year-old we had ever seen? This is what Kobe was doing at 22. And then the very next game, he's scoring 45 against the Spurs, setting the tone in Game 1 of the West Finals, where they just destroy him. So, yeah, this team's ridiculous.
Yeah. So just fans out there, guys, the narrative is ridiculous. Stop just saying it's one or the other, because that's what it was Kobe's. It was Kobe's team. It was Shaq's team. Guys, it was both. Just stop. Share the wealth. Share the wealth. It's not a us or them situation.
For sure. So now we're moving on to the next season. One thing people forget about the 2001 to 2002 Lakers is they started off this season 16-1. So everybody's talking about them potentially breaking the Bulls' 72-10 record. So if you do that math, Skap, what'd you say? They had won 23 of their last 24. Yeah, so 23-1.
Yeah, let's ask Skap some.
Yeah, so 39 and 41. They won a 41 game stretch where they had won 39 games.
What the? I don't remember this. Holy crap.
Yeah. So I'll bring it up in terms of the schedule.
I must have been so freaking angry. I blocked it out of my memory. This just isn't fair, man.
So where it is, schedule and results. You'll see it here. So after they went 15-1, 23-1 really to end the season, this is it right here. You'll see it. 16-1 is what the Lakers were.
What the hell?
And then that's where that aspect of the switch starts to come in. That's where they start to lay off the gas. That's where Kobe's getting arrogant, Shaq's getting arrogant, and they just don't really keep their foot on the gas. That's where the talks about killer mentality are coming in. And then Sacramento is starting to really assert themselves. They end up getting the best record in the Western Conference, so they're going to have home court advantage. Obviously, we know how the season progresses. We end up sweeping Portland. We handle San Antonio. But then that Kings team, they still believe they were the best team in the league and they deserve the title. Jump in anywhere you want. You could talk about Robert Horry. You could talk about Game 7. You could talk about that Kings team. What was your thought? What are your thoughts on this Western Conference Finals? Laker fans, I assume you'll be super objective.
Yeah. Let's go video. Laker fans first, and then I'll close it out because
we already have a whole video on the channel of us breaking this down and me explaining how it's all in everybody's head. So I'll let you guys talk about it.
Wait, Dario. Fun. Wait, do you think that was officiated legit, even though the referees have come out and basically admitted they did it?
Look, it was back. I don't remember that, but it was back in 2002. It was a very physical game. Things happen. Kobe brushed somebody with an elbow by mistake. Things happen. He
just gave a little love tap with
like Wemby's elbow last year in the playoffs. That was just a little brush.
Yeah, I've seen worse in like the MMA and stuff. So, honestly, I think personally, if let's say you want to say Game 6 is rigged, whatever, you still had Game 7, right? You had a chance. So come on. I will say
this though. There were some other moments like where things were looking weird in favor of Sacramento earlier in the series. A lot of Lakers fans always bring that up. Okay. The belief was that maybe they weren't trying to get the Lakers to the finals. Maybe they were, but maybe they're just trying to extend the series. I think we have a lot of examples in NBA history of the NBA trying to extend the series to get as many games as possible to try to win. Here's the other factor. You talk about referees admitting to it. As far as I can tell, the one referee who has, quote, admitted to it was one guy who wasn't even involved. It was Tim Donaghy. Mm-hmm. He was talking about Dick Bavetta being the NBA's The extender basically was the name they had for it, that he'd come in and he'd referee it and lead the group in such a way where he would extend the series.
Yeah. And Johnny, I was going to just basically agree exactly what you said there. Yeah. The goal, this went bad from how I understand this from the same interviews. The goal for the NBA was to extend this to 7 games. Cause I mean, this is big money time.
Sure.
And then it just went bad. It went sour in game 7. It didn't go, it didn't go the way they might've thought it would have went with a new contender coming out of the West. But I do believe wholeheartedly, sorry, Skap, that this was an intentional thing to extend this as far as it can go.
Okay. But one thing I want to say, and then I'll pass it over to you, Skap. I just want to finish my point real quick. Tim Donaghy, said that. We already know he's a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
We already know he's a liar. Why are we trusting the word of Tim Donaghy, who's thrown? What if he's just trying to sell a book? What if he's just trying to make a name for himself, sort of thing? We're putting a whole lot of stock in a person that we already know is crooked and seeking out his own interests. So that's a decent rebuttal. But what my own eyes saw in that one game in Los Angeles was not much was working out in the favor of the Sacramento Kings.
Johnny, the reason why I come to that conclusion is that my eyes told me that in 2002, and then years later it got, quote unquote, confirmed by somebody who kind of is in the know. I already believed it anyways my entire life, and then this was just like, oh, there it is. There it goes.
Skap, go ahead.
I think it's a shame. It's unfortunate that the series as a large is marred by that game 6, because I've watched basically every series in the NBA playoffs for like 30 years. And that might be the greatest series I've ever seen.
It was
it was the dynastic, like Lakers going for a three-peat. They're obviously a game opponent are the Sacramento Kings. Honestly, that Robert Horry game was nuts. The Lakers were down huge in that game. They were down by like 20 points in that game.
The crowd was dead. It was like Portland all over again. Like, we fall behind 3-1 to Sacramento, we're done.
Over. And then look, Shaq had a look. Kobe had a look, missed it. Shaq had a look. The ball gets knocked out, trickles back to Robert Horry, who hits the game-winning, series-saving shot for them to equalize it at 2-2. Then the next game was
the greatest crowd pop of all time. I'm inserting that clip for you guys to hear. I've never heard Staples Center that loud before. Sorry, Skap. I had to insert that.
You guys talking about the Vlade Divac?
Yes.
I forgot which team I used to play for the Lakers. So here you go. Move. Yeah.
It was just a great game. And I remember I actually graduated from high school that day. Guys, I have all these like memories intertwined with the Lakers. Basically, I graduated from high school that day, and I refused to go out to eat dinner with my family or go to any parties because I had to watch this pivotal swing game 4. And I was destroyed my room again and was sobbing on my bed, basically.
Your poor room.
when the comeback came. But then if you guys remember, Bibby hit basically like a game winner the next game to put Sacramento up 3-2, which then led into that game 6, the controversial fourth quarter in Staples. But to Dario's point, there was a game 7 and it was played in Arco. It was that game was at Sacramento, and the free throws were even in that one. It was 33-30. I think the Lakers shot 33 and the Kings shot 30, and the Kings missed like 14 of them. They were 16 of 30 in that game that they lost ultimately in overtime by 6. So and it was because I think of the pressure that Kobe and Shaq provided on them throughout the course of that game 7, and the Kings just choked. They didn't rise to the level of the challenge. So whatever happened in game 6 in the fourth quarter, you had game 7 at home and you missed 14 freaking free throws.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been in that position, though. They shouldn't have been in that position. I mean, if you're supposed to win 4-2, you're supposed to win 4-2. You know what I'm saying? So, I get what you're saying, Skap, but if they screwed them over, they screwed them over. But to be fair, there could have been some extending going on both ends. So I get that. I'm not going to claim to know. Tim Donaghy is not the most trustworthy source. If we get another source coming out within the next like 5 years, okay, I'll be up there. I'll be enough to be like, yeah, that's definitely what happened. But
before we move on, I just want to tip my hat to that Sacramento Kings team, because it is
100%.
unfortunate. This is the whole conversation about this team. I absolutely love that team. I was rooting. They were my favorite team this year. I saw them as the team that was finally going to bring the Lakers down, and boy, did they come close, man. And I'm still a fan of all those guys. Peja, I think, is the only guy who ended up winning a championship out of there, huh?
Yeah. If I said the greatest 3 teams I've ever seen when it comes to like passing and ball movement,
oh yeah,
I would say 2014 San Antonio Spurs, 1986 Boston Celtics, and I didn't see them live, obviously. I saw them on VHS tapes or just on YouTube. You can go back and watch games. I'm a weirdo. I do that.
Me too.
Awesome. 2002 Sacramento Kings. This team was right, like they had such a beautiful team because everybody could move the rock.
Yeah.
One of the most underrated parts about Chris Webber was his team play, was
Absolutely.
his passing. Hito Turkoglu, Peja, they could all move it. Mike Bibby was a great floor general. And Vlade's one of the all-time great passing centers in NBA history. Very unselfish. Bobby Jackson, a 6th man of the year. Doug Christie, great defensive player. It was just such a beautiful, deep team, man. And I don't know. I love this team. I hated them in the moment, but I've learned to appreciate them over the years. And it's unfortunate that, this is the way they're talked about now. Then we go and we beat New Jersey in one of the most boring NBA finals in NBA history. It's basically not even worth talking about. So we're moving on.
Yeah.
From 2002 to 2003, this is where the Lakers' arrogance, I think, truly got to them, specifically in the case of Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Okay. Shaquille O'Neal.
We should have done a weigh-in thing. Like how much did he weigh at game 1 of every season?
This is the worst. I think this single season, either this one or 2004, they just won 3 straight championships. So the confidence is at an all-time high. On top of that, he has a toe injury, but he loves his summer. He doesn't want to eat into his summer. Shaq's always loves to party in the summer, have a good time. So he decides to have toe surgery 3 months after they win the NBA championship, meaning he's going to be healing on company time.
He did what Scottie Pippen did in 97 then.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah. So Kobe was mad at him for not taking it seriously. At the same time, Kobe's probably salivating at the idea of being the man and getting to get all the shots up and everything. But the Lakers struggle early on. They go, where is it? Schedule and results. They start the season without Shaq going 3-9. Now, it's not just because it's Kobe's team. You just took the anchor of the triangle offense out.
Yep.
Okay. So now there's like this huge adaptation that needs to happen. On top of that, you know who they had starting? Some of you guys might remember this name. 6'9" center Samaki Walker.
Oh, okay? Wow.
He should never be starting, but he was starting in place of Shaquille O'Neal. And let's just say there was a drop off there. But then this next game, Shaq comes back. But they struggle. They take a long time to hit their stride. They're 11-19 by Christmas. Okay. 11-19. They don't end up getting to 500 until February. So this just doesn't feel like the same team. There's been drama and all that. With that being said, at a certain point, Kobe's like, I'm putting these guys on my back. I think this was the clear season where it was finally definitive. Kobe's better than Shaq. Because then he goes on and he has 9 straight games with at least 40 points. Okay. The Lakers go 7-2 over that stretch. And why does the 40-point streak stop? Because Phil Jackson said it's going to hurt Shaq's feelings. Okay. And we need to make him more a part of the offense and that sort of thing. So they end up making it to the NBA playoffs, but in the semifinals, we lose to the San Antonio Spurs. And you guys will remember that pivotal game 5 where Robert Horry, that shot was in and out. So what do you guys think about this NBA season? Was Kobe definitively better than Shaq at this point in his career? Do you blame anybody specifically for the Lakers not winning a four-peat? Let me know.
I honestly, I think this is the first season that you can definitively make a case Kobe should have been the league MVP and got robbed.
Sure.
I mean, 30 points per game, 7 rebounds and 6 assists, 3rd in defensive player of the year voting that season, played all 82. Like, those numbers are insane in that time span of the NBA. And I don't know, guys, if I just created this in my mind or if this actually occurred in reality. I seem to remember Kobe Bryant damaging his ligament in his right shooting shoulder in the first round series against the Timberwolves that year, and refusing to have it looked at. Because he didn't want to have he didn't want to have it shut down or anything like that. And
remember that baseline reverse dunk he hits? You see him after he makes that dunk. When he lands, he has to like adjust his shoulder because he just had a script. Well, that was part of the reason that made that dunk so special. It's like, oh my God, Kobe, settle down. You got a bad shoulder. So yes, that is very true.
So I think that factored into them losing then to the San Antonio Spurs. But guys, I'll turn it over to you here real quick. The thing I indelibly recall about this season, other than Kobe being to me the best player alive at this point, not just better than Shaq, the best player on the planet, is that teary post-game interview after they were eliminated by the Spurs, where it is just chilling to watch the 23, 24 years old. The maturity and just the focus that guy had, where he said, the question is like, how hard will you work now this off season? And he said,
how much harder will you work in this off season now to get back to the championship?
I'll push myself to exhaustion.
To exhaustion. Like I will come back, like it's my vow essentially. And he said, there's so many things we can make excuses for or about. We're not going to do it. They outplayed us, and I'll be better than I ever have when I come back next season. It's just such a breath of fresh air to see the images or whatever, replay that interview with the guys today and all the excuses you hear going around when players lose today.
Cheers to that, man.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to that, they had just won 3 straight. They just won 3 straight. Like, some people could look at that and be like, damn, Kobe, like, you expect your career to be a championship every single year? Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's what he's going for. That's the goal. And yeah, he will be moved to tears if it doesn't happen. And plus, to see that after Shaq had, listen, I love Shaq, but his work ethic is not the part I'm looking to compliment. He had the complete opposite approach.
Yep.
He had been 3 straight finals MVP. He was riding high. He felt dominant. He didn't come in as hungry as Kobe was. That's why he took time off. That's why he finished behind Kobe in the MVP race this year. And he played 15 less games than Kobe this year because he wanted to heal on company time. It's very reminiscent, actually, to what happened with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Or somehow, even though Scottie Pippen misses those games, the Bulls still win 62 games in 1998. It's very reminiscent of that. Dario, you want to get in there? You're getting quiet. I feel like we're just running over you a little bit.
No, we're good. Honestly, I agree 100%. I think Kobe Bryant is by far maybe not by far. No, by far the best player in the world at this point. From the offensively, I was about to say offensively, offensively and defensively. Any part of the court, Kobe's just he's playing as efficient as you can be for a guard in the mid 2000s, and I just think there's not a player who can shoot the 3 like him, attack the basket like him, and then lock down defensively the way he did. So I think he was by far the best player in the league that year.
We got to slow down a little bit, though, right? Are you going to back me up on this, RMC? To me, I don't think it's clearly above and like this is Tim Duncan in 2003. Okay,
help me cook.
Points, 13 round before assist, 3 blocks, and then we saw what he did in the NBA Finals, where he had a damn near quadruple double in Game 6. Not to mention the numbers that year were just ridiculous for Tim Duncan. Like, I know we're a group of Kobe fans, but I at least got to be a little bit objective and say, hey, dude, at the very least, it's razor's edge thin between him and Tim Duncan this year. Because look at that Finals. 24 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 5.3 blocks on top of one of the greatest closeout performances in NBA history. I just
Johnny, dude,
slow down.
Do me a favor outside of sweeping the leg. Do me a favor real quick. Bring up the how many wins did the Spurs have? How many wins did the Lakers have? Because I know how the MVP voting goes, man.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Sure.
We know that.
Yeah,
let's just cut through the BS. Like, okay, 60 wins.
60 wins, and the Lakers 50.
Now, you want to know why, Skap? That's the only reason why, in my opinion. Like, as far other than that, I think, yeah, Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant were right up there. If I was giving my opinion at that time, I would have said Kobe was the best player in the league.
All right.
I would have given him the MVP, but because of how important the wins are and the standings are, I do understand why Tim Duncan won it. And I know we're going to fight in a couple of years here when we get to the Steve Nash thing, because I have the exact same explanation for that MVP that Kobe didn't get. Because outside of that, I thought Kobe was the clear best player in the league. I think we all knew it.
Everybody was saying it at this point in time. Retroactively, I understand why people would say Tim Duncan. I get why Tim Duncan won the MVP. I get why people say it retroactively, but you have to remember, at this point in time, San Antonio hasn't won since 1999.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Lakers just three-peated. And now Kobe's asserting himself as the guy finishing ahead in the MVP race, even ahead of Shaq. So yeah, I maybe it was because I lived in California that I heard it more. I don't know. But I feel like most people were saying Kobe was the best player in the league at this point in time.
Real quick, as an outsider, I will say, though, that there is truth to the whole, like, because he had Shaq thing. It worked against him. Because, I would say, on a basketball court, I didn't think there was anybody better at that point. But everyone was like, yeah, but a Shaq's team. I think that really worked against him in a very unfair way.
Yeah. I just need to say 4 out of, I think Michael Jordan wins 4 MVPs in the 90s. Tell me, Michael Jordan's stat line is pretty much what Kobe has there, maybe a little more efficient.
Yes, a little more efficient.
How many centers average the same thing, same numbers as Tim Duncan in that throughout the 90s that weren't even close to him in MVP? Like, I just think it's only because Tim Duncan won 60 games that we're saying this.
All right. Let's move it on to the next season. The end of the Shaq and Kobe dynasty, year 8, the final chapter. And this one was ugly. The drama heading into it, Kobe talking about Shaq giving his ladies hush money, throwing him under the bus.
Oh, no.
It got ugly. Now Kobe just had the Colorado trials, so we find out that he's going to have to be traveling to Denver to have court appearances and then coming back and playing for the Lakers the same time. Shaq telling Jerry Buss, pay me, okay? Pay me. So there's free agency issues. We bring in Karl Malone. We bring in Gary Payton. Robert Horry goes off to play for the San Antonio Spurs, the guy he just missed the shot against that could have made us a 4-peat team. So this was a wild, wild season. I will say what's fascinating about this team, somehow through all of it, we still make it to the NBA Finals. We act like this is one of the greatest failures in NBA history, and they got runner-up to arguably the greatest defensive team of all time. So
how the heck did they beat the Spurs in 6 games here? How the hell did they do
0.4 seconds?
Yeah, 0.4 seconds, a big part of it.
Derek Fisher. Oh my God, I hate these guys so much.
Yep. And Kobe, I think this year, I mean, Kobe always does this thing against the Spurs. I think, let's see here. Let's look at it. Yeah, Kobe's the leading scorer, 26 points per game, 46% shooting. I mean, Shaq's scoring dipped significantly this year, but he's still getting his 15 rebounds.
I think he had injuries throughout the playoffs too, though. It might have been this year. It might have been in 03 too. I might be mixing these up. Quick thing though, isn't this year also when the Black Mamba gets created? Because of the,
well, part of it was
just important to mention. Yeah,
it's an alter ego that Kobe built up, but to keep it real. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, as a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. It was a coping mechanism for Kobe because he was being vilified. He's going to every single arena and they're booing him like crazy. And he's thinking, depending on how this trial goes, like they were talking about several years to life as his potential sentence. So Kobe, just as a lock-in mechanism, was like, I got to embrace the booze. I got to embrace the negativity, and I just got to go into Black Mamba mode. And so that was a big part of it, is like just to help him get through it. But here's the thing that's crazy. So the Lakers, they go on, obviously, to the NBA Finals against the Pistons. Everybody kills Kobe for his performance in these NBA Finals. And really, they should. because Kobe, according to even his backup, Kareem Rush, he said this in an interview, Kobe was trying to get the finals MVP. Okay. So Kobe goes out there, he shoots the ball 30 more times than Shaquille O'Neal while hitting 38% of his shots compared to 63% of his shots. But as bad as Kobe was offensively, I will argue that Shaq was just as terrible defensively, because Shaq right here, he was terrible around the rim. Go back and watch the footage and watch the way he just mails it in and doesn't try to contest anything. Kobe matched him in blocks per game. What did we see in the series against San Antonio? Shaq averaged 4.3 blocks per game.
That's big for him.
Yeah. So that's what he did against San Antonio and 0.6 against Detroit. So honestly, it wasn't a great year for either of those guys. Karl Malone was injured and missed some of the NBA finals. Anyway, I've done enough recapping. What are your guys' thoughts on this season? How would you sum up this 2004 Lakers team? Were they a failure? Are they underrated, overrated? Give me some thoughts.
Well, guys, look, there's a saying that all good things must come to an end. But to me, I think of it more so as like no things, basically nothing ends well most of the time. Like things end badly almost universally, and this was ugly. The end was ugly. It was marred by the Colorado incident. As it pertains to Kobe Bryant, though, it did show again his mental fortitude, because he literally was in a trial for his life during this season and was still putting up numbers and still putting in work. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like, this guy was like helicoptering in, like he would come in from pre-trial hearing things and then helicopter to a game like 60 minutes before and have 30 some points. Like, it was unbelievable to see him lock in at that level. But overall, it was a hideous end to an amazing dynastic kind of a run, if just for a short period of time. And that finals, Johnny, yes, Kobe played bad, but look at some of these numbers, guys. Nobody on the Lakers team shot over 30-something% other than Shaquille O'Neal and Rick Fox. Like, that's it. As a team, they shot 41%. They averaged as a team 81 points. And Derek Fisher, who was their third leading scorer in this series, in this final series against the Pistons, 6.4 points per game 30%. On 30% field goal shooting. Like that, Johnny, you said maybe. I have to definitively concur. I think that might be the greatest defense in NBA history. And then they actually played the Spurs to a very tough 7-game series the next year. And the Spurs looked pretty bad. And Tim Duncan looked pretty bad in that next series. So that Pistons team wasn't an aberration. It was just one of the nastiest all-time defenses ever.
Yeah, I think this team, just because of the drama and everything, is just treated too harshly. Look at Karl Malone. I mean, played only 4 out of the 5 games, and clearly he wasn't right. He only averaged 5 points per game because of his busted up knee. So now you're missing your 4. How much could that have helped out with Shaquille O'Neal when he's going up against, the Wallace guys, Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace down low? That would have helped a lot. Go ahead, Dario.
Just because I feel like it needs to be added here. It's just a little bit of Kobe defense here. He does explain like how what went wrong in this series. And it was pretty much like them like pressuring them so much in the half court to where they couldn't get into, like, Shaq couldn't get the ball in the paint. It was like, you can see obviously when Shaq got the ball, he ate, but it was just getting him there. And to see all the perimeter, all their perimeter guys shooting poorly. And I just think to completely blame Kobe is a little harsh, but people do blame Kobe for the series.
I think I used to completely blame Kobe, because I think at that age I was just looking at it through the offensive lens, and I saw the way Kobe was forcing the issue. But when you go back, see the way nobody could get around this Detroit team, and then see the way Shaq just gave up defensively, it's really bad. I think that part goes under the radar a lot. Go ahead, RMC.
I think there's a couple interesting things with this year. One is obviously a lesson in egos. Like when these two egos got so inflated that they couldn't concede any credit to the other person we know this is about to blow up. We all watched it happen. It was going to end. It's just unfortunate because, yeah, a lot of people just blame Kobe on this one. What happened in the finals, I did too. As you know, as an avid Laker hater back then, I was clearly going for the Detroit Pistons at that point because I love teams like that are just like 5 strong. You know, everybody's in there doing their job, like the Spurs have been for many of their years as well. But I truly believe the Lakers had the better team. The problem was their chemistry at that point because they hated each other. Let's be real. But we're talking about basketball here. Like it's really hard to get Shaq the ball. If they would have actually like worked together and figured this out as a tandem to come together and win and forget about the credit, I think they could have overcome this challenge. They really could have figured a way to do this, pick and roll, whatever it's going to be, you know, or you know, we go into the big man, dish it back out, replant yourself like they used to do, you know, have patience in the offense. But I really think it was a team full of guys who were, well, most of them were lost because of the situation. And then it was Kobe and Shaq button's heads. But the other big thing I really like, to me as a fan, something I've never seen before and I'll probably never see again, was throughout the regular season, because of, you know, the legal things Kobe was going through, this is where he really started. I finally started saying, this is the next Jordan. Like, I've never seen somebody like this, because like Skap was, or one of you guys were mentioning, he would literally show up at like, you know, 6 minutes left in the third quarter, you know, from his helicopter from court. And he just comes in there with a whole crowd full of booing fans, you know, cursing him and all kinds of stuff. And he is lighting them up every single day. You got to imagine how stressed out he is, how exhausted he is from all this. And he is just, when he's on the basketball court, you've never seen a killer like this outside of, you know, MJ Bird, like these guys. Like, to be able to focus on the game that well, when you have every excuse in the world to fall apart, that's where he started really earning my respect, that this is something special. This guy takes basketball more serious than, you know, 99.99% of anybody who's ever touched that ball. And he proved it for the rest of his career too. But this was that moment where I'm like, this means more to him than the average person. The average person would be missing these games, you know,
100%.
That's really what that season represents to me. Yeah.
I'll never forget the final game of that regular season. After everything Kobe went through that year, to hit that shot over the Kobe stopper, Ruben Patterson, that 3-point shot where he's over to the side, hits around him. Yeah. And then Theo Ratliff, he barely got that over his fingertips. That was in overtime to hit that shot that was nothing but net. Crazy. One of the most clutch endings to a game I've ever seen.
Johnny, for the younger audience that might be watching, the Pistons in that entire playoff run played in 23 games. They allowed 80 points per game and 39% shooting for their opponent's field goal percentages. 80 points per game for an entire 23-game playoff run.
Yeah, we can make an argument that that's the best defensive team of all time.
Even arguing for era, all that's still ridiculous. It still is. So picking it up now, Shaq's out. We trade Shaquille O'Neal away for Lamar Odom, Brian Grant, Caron Butler, and what I still believe is like an incredibly terrible package for Shaq. We wanted Lamar Odom to be our Scottie Pippen. When we actually started winning, he was a sixth man for us. Okay. Then I was actually happy about the guy we brought in after Phil Jackson, Rudy Tomjanovich. Okay. Yeah. So Rudy T, great coach. Obviously has a famous line of a heart of the champion.
Yes, sir.
Had won championships with Akeem Olajuwon. I thought that was a great guy to bring in. And guess what? Even with this roster, we were 24-19 while we had Rudy T. Unfortunately, Rudy T had some health issues. Mentally, he was going through a lot, so he doesn't even make it through the full season. Kobe even has some injury issues as well. And let's just be frank, this roster sucks. Like, we were left in a really rough spot afterwards. Caron Butler was kind of nice for us. Chucky Atkins should not be starting. Chris Mim, Devon George, Brian Grant, like, you can see guys who eventually develop into nice pieces for us. Sasha Vujacic is only 20 years old at this point, averaging 2.9 points. But this team just wasn't ready to compete. I honestly don't have much nice things to say about this. The narrative is strongly established at this point that Kobe pushed Shaq out of town and he's selfish and he can't win without Shaq. They go 34-18. Guys, any thoughts on this disaster of a season?
I only got some quick thoughts on this one. I always did see Lamar Odom as that Scottie Pippen kind of guy for this offense, and the numbers are pretty close. He's getting like 15 points, like 10 or 11 rebounds a game. You know, like
defensively, he's not that guy though.
No, I agree with you. Offensively, more so offensively, he was playing that role.
But we can't be disrespectful to Pippen too. Like this is what we need Odom to be, that guy, and he's getting 15. Pippen was consistently between 20 and 22. You know, so it's like I don't know. I think he's a cut above, and then you add in the floor general. You know.
Yeah, but first year in the role, not bad for Lamar. I mean, obviously later on, you know, he had some issues with mental health and addiction and stuff like that kind of altered his career. But I really thought he had that potential to be a Pippen-like player.
I love Lamar
for this roster.
I'm just saying the shoes were too big to fill. That's all I'm saying.
Don't get me wrong, guys. This is a trash team. I'm not trying to advocate for that. I'm just. A lot of people crap all over Lamar Odom, and I think he was actually he was a decent player. But
I'm sure you're really happy to say that, RMC. But you really wanted to say that it was a trash team. I can tell.
Finally, man. Finally, you spoiled ass Laker fans, man. You know, like earlier, Johnny's like, finally, we're getting to the finals. Like, okay, anyway, I think that's all I really have to say about this team, though. Like, not much happened. I mean. It was just that transition period. And you're right. The narrative 100% was that Kobe chased out Shaq. And it was just a question, who's going to win the championship first between them.
So that package was pathetic. Shaquille O'Neal went on to still be an MVP candidate. And they took back Brian Grant, Caron Butler, and Lamar Odom, who at that point collectively – the three of them combined to make 0 All-NBA team selections and 0 career All-Star appearances at that point. That's what you got back for Shaquille O'Neal. In Kobe's absolute peak, it was straight trash. And accordingly, the other pieces around it, you had other things going on. D Fish was out. Smush freaking Parker is the starting point guard. That team is
not yet. This year we had Chucky Atkins, but it's not much of an upgrade. Smush is the next year.
Next 2 years.
So you know what? Let's just get to that next.
Yeah, let's do it.
Crappy ass supporting cast, but at least now, it's crazy to me that Phil Jackson wrote a book the last season, released it, called Kobe uncoachable. Said so many harsh things, and they mended their differences within a year. To me, I think both guys deserve credit for that. Like both guys for putting their differences aside. Because Phil Jackson comes back to that. Somehow this team goes 45-37. I could give all the context. Kobe given 35 points, 4th in MVP, first team all defense. It's the 05-06 season. You guys all know about it. Give me some thoughts on it.
Dario.
I'll go first. This is the season where we witness the greatest offensive player we've ever. Honestly, in my opinion, if we're just going peak, this is the greatest player we've ever seen. I know.
Wow. Okay.
I think offensively and defensively, there's nobody else. So. And
4th in MVP.
Yeah, honestly, it's crap that he's 4th. He should at minimum be 2nd. Don't get me wrong. Because of the only thing that pisses me off about the MVP thing is now that Jokic just won an MVP, or not just one, but a couple years ago won an MVP being the 6th seed. I feel like we should retroactively go back and fix this and give Kobe his MVP that he deserves, because
we got a Sunspan on the panel. I think he's going to make this case.
Sorry.
But hold on. Before I'm going to let Mindcrime take over because he's going to fluff up Steve Nash, I'm sure. For us here. But let me just say there is precedence for historically significant seasons being granted MVPs, even if the 1 or 2 seed isn't there, even if the team win-loss record isn't there. You just mentioned Nikola Jokic was a 6 seed. Russell Westbrook, I believe, was a 6 seed the year he hit the first triple-double ever, other than Oscar Robertson back in 62. Kobe Bryant this year was a historically significant individual year. It was the highest point per game average we'd seen since the 80s when Jordan did it. And it was like the 7th or 8th most points scored ever in NBA history, outside of 1 year by Jordan in the 80s and like 6 by Wilt in the 60s. It was a historically significant season. It came in the time where it was 96 freaking points per game. He was first team All NBA defense. And when he was on the floor offensively, they had the number 1 offensive net rating in the league. When he was off the floor offensively, they had the worst net rating in NBA history. The fact that he got that team to the playoffs and finished 4th in MVP voting literally succinctly describes how much the MVP voters hated his guts during that time and just decided collectively, we're refusing to give this guy an MVP no matter what.
Let me just drop a couple things real quick. He scored 81 points in this season.
Yeah.
A month prior to that, he had 62 through 3 quarters against the eventual team that made it to the NBA Finals. At the end of 3 quarters, it was Kobe 62, Mavericks 61. No team in the history of the league has ever, no player in the history of the league has outscored an entire team by himself. Kobe almost did it against a team that made it to the finals that year. That's absurd. And if you look at every great scoring performance in NBA history, I'm serious, like almost every great scoring performance, it's this guy scored 70 points, the opposing team scored like 120. When Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points, the Knicks had like 150 points, okay? Kobe almost outscored the Mavericks by himself. Like, to consider that era and the kind of scoring he was doing then, it's insane. How is that even possible? Go ahead, RMC.
All right. Well, I could be both with you and against you guys because there are points that you guys are making that I completely agree with. Now, as far as the Steve Nash thing, let me just get that out of the way, Skap. Though the only reason why I can explain this one away is that Steve Nash took a trash team. They added him. They had the best record in the league.
Fair.
That's the only reason. While this was the lowest point for the Lakers during this time in history. So once again, just going based on, I know how important records are for them. That's the only reason I think this happened. To me, the bigger question is, what the hell was LeBron James and Dirk Nowitzki doing above him on the voting? That is the biggest shocker to me, and I don't remember that being the case.
Chauncey Billups was close. Chauncey Billups was 5th that year in MVP voting, and he was close to Kobe.
It's weird to me because as a basketball fan, he was the clear best player in the league by far. Even a hater like me was say I watched a ton of Laker games. I watched them, and every single time, it's not like how I watch like LeBron games where I laugh my ass off at it. Like with Kobe was like, what the hell's wrong? This guy won't stop. Like every single time, like he's got to be tired. I feared Kobe watching him. I never feared like that other dude. I laugh at that dude, but seeing him above Kobe in the voting here, I know, Johnny, you got something to say, but that pisses me off. Like, what the hell is he doing above Kobe in this year?
It was the Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell thing. I think at this point in time, Kobe was Wilt Chamberlain. They were looking as Kobe as you push Shaq out of town. You lost the Christmas Day game. Shaq goes on to the Eastern Conference Finals his first year with Miami, and he wins the championship the next year with Miami. Shaq's the winner. The way Kobe plays, it's selfish. It's empty stats. The 81-point game, people act like we criticize Bam. Nobody criticized Kobe. BS. Kobe got tons of criticism because this is what he does, and he'll keep breaking scoring records, but he's not going to win championships without Shaq.
Yeah, he did have the ball hog narrative. You're right.
Yeah, 100%. Like, people were not viewing Kobe as a winner. People were viewing him as a guy who was enabled to win because of, like, the narratives changed a lot when you push Shaq out of town, because Shaq is one of the most dominant players in NBA history. You don't just push that guy out of town. So the media was firmly against him. So to see a media popularity contest turn out like this, honestly, at the time, not that surprising. Like,
Johnny, if I could throw in one more thing before we move on.
Go for it.
This year, to me, as you know, I was a big Jordan fan. I was not, what you were just describing there is not me at all.
Yeah, I believe that.
What I was seeing, I was starting to get afraid for the future of how good LA is going to be, because this reminded me of 87 Jordan. And Kobe never got that opportunity that Jordan got to, where he joined a trash team and then he got to show his individual talent for a couple of years, win every award imaginable. And then he's like, I want to win. You know, Kobe kind of went in reverse. He started out as a big time winner, you know, but you can argue, is he the number one? Is he the number two? Jordan didn't go through that. Then now he's the clear guy. So this made sense to me when he averaged 35 points a game. Was like, he's out there trying to prove that he can do it just like MJ did. I can carry a team to the playoffs. And just like MJ did during that time, he's struggling to get out of the first round. And I knew, considering he had the same coach, he had Phil Jackson with him, eventually, if he can check his ego and just see, what do I have to do to win? I know I could probably do less and put less effort, and we're going to win. How do I accomplish that? Once he gets some help, I knew once he got a little bit of help, this was going to be trouble for the rest of the West. And that was trouble. You know, obviously as a Suns fan, I was seeing this as like they're 1 or 2 years out.
Sure.
Possibly being better than us. But, you know, people like to hate. So they were just like jumping on the bandwagon at that point. But really,
I think that's
saw
a big factor, though, too, because like when you're competing against a guy, you're watching him up close. You're paying attention. To me, it's like everybody says nowadays, like so many people say Reggie Miller's overrated because of how few all NBA teams he made. He's not a great defensive player, all that sort of thing. You know who never says he's overrated? Knicks fans who were terrorized by Reggie Miller. They know how good that dude is. So I feel like you being a Suns fan, witnessing those battles and everything you went through, you probably know this dude's scary. This guy put the fear of God in me. Yeah.
I mean, he's out there challenging us in the playoffs, like by himself. We have the best team, but they have Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant. I just, it reminds me of like 86 Bulls versus Celtics. Like, who the hell is this guy? Right. What is this guy? Just will not stop attacking us, you know?
That's the last thing I want to talk about before we jump in the season, and we have to because RMC's here. Suns versus Lakers. That series goes 7 games. They even go up 3-1 off of that Kobe Bryant iconic game-winning jumper. He had a big shot at the end of regulation as well to like tie the game off the backboard, and so they win that game. And then Phoenix makes that comeback. There was that crazy end where Kobe has 50 points. To me, this was his greatest playoff performance in his NBA career, is where he dropped 50 points against Phoenix, making clutch shot after clutch shot. But that frickin' Thomas 3-point shot, man. Game 7, did he quit? That's what I want to hear. Did he quit in Game 7? Because that's the predominant narrative now. What do you guys have to say about that?
I'll do it real quick first. As you know, okay, here's how I truly believe, and I get a lot of crap for this, but this is really what I believe. I believe this is the last time Kobe Bryant's ego got the best of him. I really think he was listening to the media. He was listening to Stephen A. and all the hate that was coming down on him. But man, I wish he didn't, because what did he score 50 the night prior, the game prior? Man, just keep going with that. We could not stop him. As a Suns fan, we were fearing him shooting. I didn't want him to shoot. The fact that he stopped shooting in Game 7, that was like the biggest green light we've ever seen for the Suns as an organization. Like, we've got him. We've got it now. That's what I really believe. And I tell it this way because it's not a story of he never overcame his ego. He did right after this. And then you can start seeing the synergy between him and Phil, the selfishness being gone. And what do they do after this? We'll get to it. But this is where they really become they became like family at this point, him and Phil. And I really believe that they needed to go through this last little speed bump in order to like have their the ego just being smashed down to the ground. And then we get kind of a rebirth from Kobe. And what we're about to enter is the Kobe Bryant that I am a major fan of. The stats won't show it. He's not scoring 35 anymore, but this is an unselfish Kobe that learned how to win. And once he learned, he didn't forget the damn lessons. And that's why I always like to preface it with, yes, this was the last stain. This was the last stain for me on his legacy, but this stain led to the greatest version of Kobe Bryant that I think we ever got to see. So that's my piece on it.
Guys, did he quit?
I think that was great.
Look, I'll say this. I think that series was crushing for Kobe Bryant. He wanted it so badly because he felt like he should have had the MVP. And then he goes up 3-1. Yep. And when you're a big underdog against a team, and you go up 3-1, ultimately, look, it makes sense probably that they're going to get that next game on the road to push you back. So you're funneling everything you have into that home game to close. And he has 50 in that game, but they can't get the offensive rebound because it wasn't just the Tim Thomas 3. If you remember, they missed a shot and the Lakers couldn't rebound it. And that whole thing unfolded.
Right.
Then they go into game 7. And at that point, when you're that big of an underdog and you blow the 3-1 lead to get it back into their building, chances are very highly likely that you're going to lose that game. Still, though, Kobe at halftime, guys, of game 7 had 23 points on 8 of 13 shooting at halftime.
Right.
His supporting cast cumulatively had 22 points on like 30% shooting. So, and they were down like 20. So Kobe's sitting there like, oh, what am I supposed to do here realistically? I just had 50 last game. I can have 50 again this game, but we're losing by 20 points. This team is trash. So I think it was just out of pure frustration that he was like, hey, front office, check this out. Like, check this out. If I don't score 50, this is what it looks like. I'm not condoning it. I'm not accepting it. I'm just saying it's human nature. They weren't going to win that game or that series anyway. And it was because the organization was critically failing one of the all-time greatest players of any era, of any time, in his absolute peak. And he was just so thoroughly frustrated, I think, with it in that second half of game 7.
Dario, before you go, my bad, real quick. I just wanted to say, because I didn't actually say it when I went on my rant, the Lakers had no business competing against this Suns team. No freaking business in any world did they have, yet they did. Kobe did it. However it ended, Kobe made this a ridiculously competitive series, and it shouldn't have been. Our team was great. Your Lakers were terrible.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. I don't think Kobe quit. I saw a desperate attempt to try something completely different. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it sounds like it's 3 versus 1, that you all kind of seem to agree that Kobe's trying to send a message. I don't even know if it was that. I saw a guy desperately like trying to get his teammates going, because clearly after scoring 50 in game 6, that didn't work. Being down by as many points as they were down after he had a super hot 23-point first half, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Ultimately, I do think a lot is made about it this series, which is kind of silly because, no matter what approach Kobe has in game 7, they're getting blown out clearly.
Well, just for you guys, my question is, sorry, Dario.
No, you're good.
Is it to me, this is the last time Kobe tried to go 5v1. Like, this was the lesson to me. Like, it's just there's levels. You can't do it by yourself, no matter how good you are.
Maybe, because when we look at the next season, now there's even more, like we technically lose less games. Kobe's scoring goes down about 4 points per game, but he's still at like 31 points per game. Kobe's still a ridiculous scorer. I do feel like there's some good momentum now, because now Kobe's there. We got Andrew Bynum now on the roster as well. So we could tell that we've got, a guy who's going to be an impactful player on the future. But ultimately, Kobe kind of does his thing again. 3rd in MVP, the first team all defense, averaging a ton of points, lead the league in scoring again, goes to the NBA playoffs. Nobody talks about this. Plays Phoenix again. This time loses even more convincingly, 4-1. Now, to be fair, I do think Phoenix was more healthy this year, and this was kind of your year if it wasn't for the Robert Horry hit check.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it up every time you're here because I like doing it. But anyway, Lakers go 42-40. Honestly, I feel like this is a quick season we could breeze over. You've got the 50-point game streak, all that sort of thing. But losing in the same fashion, just more convincingly, this is why Kobe demands a trade at the this offseason. Did you actually want to be traded? Yeah. Do you have thoughts on this, Dario?
Honestly, I think this is where Skap's argument from last season really taking a toll now. Like Kobe's definitely just kind of done with it, and he's feeling like his prime years are getting wasted. So I don't blame Kobe for asking for or wanting a trade, but I'm happy that it didn't happen.
And real quick, there was something going on at the time. I think there was rumors or indications maybe that Jason Kidd was available.
There was a lot of trade rumors, yeah, because Bynum.
Right, but it was like Andrew Bynum was supposed to be involved, and it was known that Jim Buss was high on Andrew Bynum and wouldn't include him as a piece in any potential trade.
Let me know if you remember these names, Skap. Jason Kidd, as you mentioned, Jermaine O'Neal, even Kevin Garnett. Like those were the names they were getting thrown around to potentially pair with Kobe. And then Kobe gets nobody and heads into that offseason like, screw this. If you're not going to get somebody, either trade me or get serious about getting somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And Johnny, this will real quickly segue us into the next year. They didn't really do anything. They brought back Derek Fisher, but like that was the only really significant change. There was a couple smaller little fringe pieces that they did, but that team was not good. 07-08 going in, they had like, I think the 8th or 9th odds on favorite to go to the NBA finals. So like the odds makers preseason that year still viewed the Lakers the same way as what they were the previous few years. Like the 8th seed, maybe that's probably going to lose in the first round. And it just didn't go like that. Even before the trade deadline, when they bring Powell in, and I'll let you set that up. They were still, I know they were the 5th. They were technically in the 5th spot when they got Gasol, but they were like 2 games behind the 1 seed, and they were all year long. They were up in that 1 seed contention with very little other than Andrew Bynum and Kobe.
Yeah. Guys, look at the record, by the way, because we're talking about this like this is a terrible team, blah, blah, blah. Dude, they were in the West. Look at that. I mean, that's a decent record right there.
Yeah. So how many games? I forget how many games we go through, but mid-season, that's when we commit what looked like at the time highway robbery. And listen, the opening night game, I need to acknowledge that first. Things were so weird this season before the Pau Gasol trade, because the opening night game, Kobe is getting booed in Los Angeles for demanding a trade. Kobe was booed in Staples Center. Okay. They're going up against the Rockets. Really one of the greatest opening night games of all time. Ends up like going to overtime. Lakers have like a great comeback. They like lose by 1 point, but the crowd went from booing Kobe to they were chanting MVP by the 4th quarter because he had scored like 40 something points. And it was a very toxic time in LA. So then, you know, we're doing all right, but we feel like we've seen this song and dance. We're a little bit better because now we have Fisher, Bynum. We've got some promising pieces, but this still doesn't feel like a championship contender. Kobe's not saying he doesn't want to trade anymore outright. He's just kind of like not talking about it and like, yeah, I'm happy to see we're doing better. And then Pau Gasol gets traded for Kwame Brown and the rights to Marc Gasol. So that, you know, in hindsight, evened out the trade quite a bit. But the Lakers get Pau Gasol. They play the first game against the New Jersey Nets. And Kobe has like a terrible game that first game. And Pau Gasol has a great game. And Michelle Beadle's interviewing Kobe afterwards. And Kobe says, there is a God. that was his feelings on getting Pau Gasol when he needed some help. There is a God. Obviously, you guys know what happens. We go on a great run. Kobe wins the MVP. And that was the weird thing about this MVP to me. I'm like, how are you trying to tell me Kobe's the MVP of the league when he was way better the past 2 seasons? Like, that's why this felt like, all right, finally, he's got a winning record. Let's recognize him. I'm
that's
like,
it. That's all it is.
The last 2 years.
Yeah.
So, but we go to the NBA
that he
finals.
forced them to give him the MVP because of it. Like, honestly,
yeah,
in the West, to have that team in #1 contention throughout almost the entire year, like it only makes sense.
And I thought a lot of people will say that Chris Paul should have won that MVP award. I thought during the season, I could feel it, that it was New Orleans and Los Angeles battling for the upper spot of the 1 seed. I said, whoever gets it between the Lakers and the Hornets is going to get the MVP, whether it be Paul or Kobe. And the Lakers ended up being the 1 seed and Kobe got the MVP. I thought rightfully so. Finally.
Yeah. We go on to the NBA finals and we remember what happens. with the Boston Celtics. So on one hand, it's nice to get to the finals. On the other hand, we lose game 6, get eliminated to our historic rivals by 39 points. Included in there was, for a little while, the worst blown lead in NBA Finals history with the Spurs just broke last year. And that was in game 4 against the Celtics. So what were you guys' thoughts on this season, on the Celtics? Give me some thoughts on just all of this as a whole.
I mean, this was the peak of what the Celtics were. And the whole reason that they got together was to do something like this. So if it wasn't for a monster like that in the East, I think this would have been a championship year for Kobe and the Lakers by far. They were more competitive against the Celtics than I thought they would be, with just a half a season of chemistry behind them to put this whole thing together. And I got to say, as an outsider to this, I knew it was done after this. I knew Kobe was about to stack some rings. Yeah. To me was, as you know, a primary Jordan fan, was, is he gonna do it? You know, is he gonna get 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever? Because they finally got him some help. And at this point, I had been saying for about 3 years, all he needs is that number 2 guy. It doesn't matter how, he doesn't need a 30-point, per game score or anything like that. He needs somebody who wants to win half as much as he does and is willing to put in that work. And I think they become, indestructible. Pau Gasol was that guy. That first year, I have to put it into question because I don't know if he understood like the urgency of the situation. But after the Olympics together or against each other, and in the whole like leaving the gold medal in Pau's locker room right at the beginning of the season to set the tone, I think the switch flipped right there. And it's like, okay, this is championship or bust. There's nothing else to it. And they did it, man. And like I said, I was rooting against them at the time, but I knew it from the beginning of the following season. This is the top contender in my mind.
Yeah, I think, look, Pau Gasol, when he got traded, was in the middle of his 7th season. He had been to one All-Star game in his entire career and had not made any All-NBA team selections. He had famously not won a single playoff game in his own career. The fact that Kobe just got that guy mid-season and went all the way into the NBA Finals and took that Celtics team to a 6th game, that was a monster Celtics team. I think they were 67-win team that year. So, I mean, that was a Herculean effort by Kobe. And the thing I remember most about that season was Kobe was on the floor for like 15 minutes during that celebration where like there's like 150 people on the court, all the confetti's coming down. Kevin Garnett's yelling anything is possible. And Kobe is going up and shaking Celtics players' hands and walking through the confetti's hitting him in the face as he's walking through the crowd. And you could just see it in that dude's face. Like that there was going to be a reckoning coming. Like you could just, I agree with you, Mindcrime. Like it was palpable. Like this guy was about to go on a scorched earth, like NBA retribution tour over the next couple seasons. And so he did.
And what he does in the Olympics in between, that was definitely, it showed us. This is Captain Kobe. This is the leader I always challenged. Like, can he become this guy? And I mean, much like Jordan, we got a glimpse of this guy right before the NBA season started when he was representing our country. And boy, did he represent us, man.
He really established his dominance in multiple ways, I feel like. For one, if you remember, because at this time, it's the Kobe LeBron thing, right? Like it's still definitely in 2009. That's when they're like doing the puppet commercials and everything. Yeah. But at this time, it's literally who's the best player in the league between Kobe and LeBron. LeBron, the year before that same Spurs team, he gets swept by, or gentlemen. Oh, I think he got swept. And literally, Kobe goes against pretty much an identical Spurs team and dominates them, pulling out Tim Duncan and then establishing dominance on Tim Duncan and himself. Always got to do that because the Kobe Duncan thing is a real thing. And Kobe just pulling out the Tim Duncan, taking advantage of that matchup whenever he can. And they dominated the Spurs to establish their dominance in the West because the next 3 years, they go on to just take over the West. And then for him to then that next summer kind of, I think, grow as a leader with what he did with Powell, what he did with Team USA, and then also like you got other guys like Trevor Ariza. He's a perfect example of like losing in 08 and then Kobe giving him like a game plan of what he has to do over the summer to be ready for 09. Like,
yeah, that's what Ariza, like Ariza told that in an interview that he gave him a specific agenda for how to improve himself as a player, and Ariza followed it to a T, and it was noticeable. Ariza was so good in 2009. I kind of liked him even more than Ron Artest. I think the physicality of Ron Artest was probably better specifically for that Celtics matchup, but as a whole, I liked Ariza a lot more. Do you guys know the story about Kobe and Don't Stop Believin', the song? So nobody does.
Johnny, but before you tell it, let me just slide in with a song. Remember what happened when Shaq or with Shaq after Kobe lost that series to Boston, and Shaq was in an LA nightclub and he did the Kobe tell me how my ass tastes rap.
Yes.
Brutal low point for me as a Kobe fan. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Well, hey, do you know that fueled the fire though? Like that might have been needed.
You talked about how Kobe stayed on the court, on the Boston court. That was intentional by Kobe. Kobe let himself suffer. And one of the stories is the song that was playing. You can go back and listen to it. The song that's playing when the Celtics win the championship, Kevin Garnett's yelling anything is possible, is Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. Don't stop believing. Like, you guys all know it.
No, sing more.
Kobe, because he's an absolute psychopath, he listened to that song every single day in the off season heading into the 08-09 season, so he could keep that feeling and keep that pain fresh to keep him motivated for the next season. Like, you want to talk about a different kind of mentality, a dude who will purposely torture himself mentally so that he comes in the next season hungrier than ever before, which leads us into that next season, 2008 to 2009. Now we get a 65-17 record, and man, you could just feel like the intensity different. Not just Kobe's better, the whole team's better. And Kobe talked about how like his literal mindset changed, and I love this. If you've seen Kobe Bryant's Muse, I definitely recommend watching that. It's probably my favorite documentary piece, anything, and it's Kobe. He made it about, his own story. And he talks about like he was insecure about his leadership. Like it was literally getting to his head that everybody was telling him he's not a good leader. He's too much of an a-hole, all that sort of thing. So Magic Johnson had like a pep talk for him. So he tried to be encouraging to his teammates, to Sasha, to Lamar, to all these different guys heading into the postseason. And guess what? They got beat in the NBA Finals, beat down by a more physically and meaner team in the Boston Celtics. And he viewed that as they're soft. He's being too nice. So what happened? Stop playing nice. I'm running through Pau Gasol's chest. I'm telling these guys they need to get harder. I'm giving Sasha Vujacic elbows, in practice. I'm toughening these guys up. And this team did come out meaner. Like Kobe learned who he's called to be as a leader and what he needs to be. And this was just like a team on a mission. So obviously they go on to win the NBA championship. Some great performances.
Like 19-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
They started out with a streak.
Yeah. And then we see the Kobe scowl. We're just got like the bottom teeth out with the Nuggets series and everything. And then they just absolutely smacked the Orlando Magic 4-1. So there's things to talk about here. One of the things is also to talk about is this was probably a little bit of a disappointment for the basketball world because we were expecting Celtics and Lakers, but KG had the knee injury, so we didn't get that. Do you think this team was on such a mission they're beating absolutely anybody, even a healthy Celtics team? Give me some thoughts.
I'd love to start this one only because fun fact, this is the first year that I really started watching basketball from beginning to end.
Which so still amazes me. You like love Kobe, but like most of his career you didn't even see.
Honestly though, like I definitely just go like I went back. Like it's not like I didn't know who Kobe was. Like I definitely was rooting for Kobe throughout the years. I just wasn't watching basketball to the point where I'm watching any game that's on.
You did what I did with the 80s. You retroactively just went back and started watching.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But so it's so funny. Like just from my perspective, going into this year, I didn't realize that they just lost to the Celtics. Like I wasn't taking that into consideration. I'm
because you're a newbie fan USA. At this point, a casual. Yeah,
for sure.
And
it's pretty much like I'm going from Team USA like that summer, and then just seeing Kobe go on this run, right? And so in my mind, we're about to win a championship. Didn't even realize what happened the year before. I didn't even realize the Boston Celtics and Laker thing was happening. I'm just like, Kobe's on a mission. He's looking like an MVP. To me, he was obviously the best player in the league. And then Christmas Day, I think it's Celtics Lakers. We beat them. In January, we played them again. We beat them. Kobe hits a game winner, I think, on Real. It might have been that might be the year after. Sure. But I know we beat them both games. So I didn't feel like there was any team, like we even beat the Cavs both games that year as well. So I didn't feel like there was any team we were going to face in the playoffs that we weren't going to win against. So, and I just felt like it was dominance all year long. And then when we got to the finals, it was just him doing what he does again. Like, to me, game one of the 2009 finals is Kobe. To me, is Kobe's
40
best.
Points. Yeah. Masterclass. Yeah.
Kobe's best playoff game, in my opinion.
RMC, you were a non-Laker fan at this point in time. So, like, give me your perspective on how this all, like, what were you feeling 2009 heading up to the KG knee injury? I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit, how you knew it was on a mission after 08, but elaborate on that this season.
Okay. All right. Basically, I saw everything they needed except for maybe the vocal leadership part to toughen everybody up. The year prior. Okay. Then what I saw him do in the Olympics, I saw a different version of him was developing. This is a guy who's a leader amongst leaders.
Right.
And he's the top dog. You guys reiterated about the him being self-conscious about being a leader. I think all of that got alleviated during the Olympics, the way that all went down, and he was the main guy. He was the main vocal leader. When I started seeing that trickle down to the Lakers that next season, dude, you can go about 10 games into the year and I'm like, they're winning if they're healthy. Like, I was bottom line. I don't care if it's the Celtics. I expected it to be against the Celtics, but yeah, that didn't happen. But I thought even if everyone was healthy in the league, the Lakers were going to win this. When it looked like it wasn't going to be the Celtics, I was thinking, okay, this would be cool to see the showdown between Kobe and LeBron. Unfortunately, LeBron didn't quite, do his part to get there. And I think the fans will always wish we got that finals, but it is what it is. Once it was, Lakers versus the Magic, if I was a betting man, I would have bet it all 100% on the Lakers. Yeah, and really, I mean, just to let you know, like, all these challenges that he had to overcome, and Phil Jackson, like, together, I saw this as they can win 5 championships. They could win like the next 5 out of 7 if they just keep going. I saw this as just as scary as the early 2000s Lakers, just without Shaq. But now we have this version of Kobe who is reminding me of Michael Jeffrey Jordan so much that it's scary. The leadership style was the same. He was barking at everybody, but also not just leading by example, not just scoring 50, but he's doing his part to a T and expecting everybody to do their part and keeping them accountable. Phil Jackson finally had his floor general again. It was game over for the league. Like I said, there was a point where I was hate watching Kobe going, this guy's going to end up with 7 or 8, I mean, like I was such a gatekeeper to Michael Jordan back then that I was like, I don't want to have to admit there's someone better, but if he does it, I have to, and I will.
Oh, yeah.
He should have. We'll talk about that around 2012. We'll talk about that around 2012, but right now we're still in 09. Skap, what you got on this time frame?
Yeah, just a force of nature these years. I mean, he was, to me, I have Kobe Bryant as the second greatest player in NBA history, and I think it is very close with him and Jordan. I think you can make an argument maybe that the tangible on-court product of Kobe was actually better, but I bumped Jordan up for sheer resume and accomplishments. And also for the 80s, of which I didn't really see. But of what I saw of Michael Jordan, like with my own 2 eyes, peak Kobe Bryant to me is better than that. Like, he's a better ball handler. He's a better scorer. Like that.
It took us 2 hours and 15 minutes to get here, but let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Come on.
Wait, Skap. What in your mind is peak Kobe Bryant? Because everyone fights about that.
Honestly, I would say like 05, 06.
Okay. So you like that version of him better than this version?
I think he was more cerebral at this version, and he was maybe a better like full court leader. I'd say the leadership and intangibles had caught up with his individual excellence and abilities. But like, if Kobe didn't get hurt, and if the Lakers didn't squander so many years of his, like, he probably has seven, 6, 7, 8 rings possibly. So like, I think he kind of overachieved to get to the 5. Now he's clearly not as decorated as Jordan. 5 league MVPs for Michael Jordan, 6 for 6 in finals MVPs, but just the tangible on-court product that Kobe, like, if you watch from what I saw of Michael Jordan, I started watching the NBA religiously in like the mid 90s. So I saw Jordan's entire second three-peat. So I did not see. So that's why I'm saying, for the things I didn't see, but I understand, I have Jordan above Kobe. But from what I saw, Jordan's second three-peat versus Kobe's prime, Kobe's the best player I've ever seen, better than Jordan in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. RMC, I'm gonna piggyback off of that. You might need to rein us back in, okay, Mr. MJ. I might need you to do that. I'm not gonna go that far, as far as Skap did. So sorry, Dario, to disappoint, but I will say Kobe wowed me more than MJ did, but it wasn't always a good thing. Kobe's shot selection wasn't as pure as MJ's. Like, Kobe would shoot a lot of contested, double-teamed, long 2-point shots. Like
triple team.
Yeah, but he made them. Like,
I know. I hated it.
Hey, you know, as a Suns fan,
time.
I know you know. There'd be like 4 or 5 shots in his prime every game where you're just like, how the frick did he make that? Like, every game. So to me, from a basketball skills standpoint, Kobe's the most impressive player I have ever seen. Now, as far as like X's and O's, stats, accomplishments, that sort of thing, yeah, to me, it's MJ. It's MJ. He just has too much working in his favor. But as far as like the wow factor, no one has ever wowed me more than MJ has. To be fair, guys like 2016 Steph Curry as an offensive player kind of get into that wow factor as well. But to me, Kobe's the most wow. What are your thoughts on all of this, RMC?
Oh man, I mean, I got Jordan just because I feel like by 1989 he understood how to lead. And with Kobe, it's not necessarily his fault. Like I talked about earlier, he went on a different journey where he didn't, he had to go through a different process with a different team before he actually learned that leadership. And when I rank greatness, that leadership, that level of being a captain and leading the troops to victory is a huge one for me. It's why I have Larry Bird so high on my list. But anyways, what I will say is, if we're talking the greatest player between the two of them, I got Jordan, but I got Kobe right there at number 2. And there's never any questions asked. It's always right there. Number 1, number 2. When we're talking about talent wise, like, Jordan was a more freak athlete, especially Skap in the years you missed. I started watching him in '87 as a little booger with a basketball in my hands and just watching him fly all over the place. Yeah. So Jordan had him beat on that, which helped him also with his field goal percentage, which is another thing that we talk about with Kobe.
Sure.
Now, Kobe.
I think Jordan's the physicality, the strength, the power, the athleticism was better than Kobe for sure. But I think Kobe's skill set and mastery of basketball was above Jordan. Johnny, I see you raising your eyebrows, but
to me, it's, if you want to just talk pure skill set, to me, it's like when you watch an instant replay and it's inconclusive, so you keep whatever the play is on the field. That I'm like, bro, you're splitting hairs. Like, I'm not going to say anybody's more skilled than MJ, but if you say he's on level, I got no problems with that.
You know what I will say, though, is that Kobe had to work a lot harder to master those skills than MJ did, because MJ was just, because of the athleticism, like MJ was a freak, man. I mean, 48, supposed 48-inch vertical and all this stuff. The guy was flying in the 80s. That was the thing. He was literally Superman. So, oh man, it's hard because Kobe is the best difficult shot maker I've ever seen in the league, and I used to hate him for it. But at the same time, I would yell at the scream, because that should not be possible.
We got to bring him up, but like
a fadeaway 3 with 3 guys in your face. Meme.
Like, you know, the Jokic meme where shot clock's running down and he just heaves it over his head and somehow it goes in. Kobe was doing that
He
first.
was doing that every game.
How do you defend this?
And he, without a dribble even, he'd get stuck in his pivot, like jab, 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 jab. He's got nowhere to go. 3 guys right in his face. He'll knock that 3 down. Killed me, man. But I don't even like this conversation, you guys, because we're talking in my mind, the 2 greatest players of all time. And like to even pin them head to head, it's fun. But at the same time, like, I don't like to do it because I don't want to diminish from either of these guys. They're like the untouchables to me.
Agreed. And like I said, I've got Jordan 1 and Kobe 2, but I think it's closer than anybody wants to admit or accept. I think Kobe did get closer. And if things went a little bit differently and he snuck in that 6th ring, I feel like it would have been an interesting conversation.
Skap, I agree 100% because back then I was hoping he doesn't get 6 because admittedly, that's a conversation that would have been the most real GOAT debate. Like, not this fabricated one, like 6 championships to 6 championships. You know, they mirrored each other on the court, the way they looked, the way they led towards the end, the same coach, all this stuff, you know, in common, that it would be a disservice to the game of basketball to not have a genuine conversation about it. And all he had to do was win that one more, and it would have been right there.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that is a beautiful and perfect segue into this season, 2009 to 2010. And the reason why we've never seen the GOAT conversation between MJ and Kobe reach a higher point, like a more intense point than it did this season. Kobe just won his 4th championship. He's leading the Lakers now to what looks like their 5th championship, specifically after they beat Phoenix, and the quality of shots that he was making over those double teams, over Grant Hill, tapping Alvin Gentry on the butt, you know, making all those shots, putting up the ridiculous numbers. People want to say now in hindsight, Kobe Bryant was never in the GOAT conversation.
Oh, he was.
BS, dude. Yeah. He was absolutely in it. Mark Jackson said on live television that he was better than Michael Jordan. David Stern said on NBA TV that he was just as good as Michael Jordan, the commissioner of the NBA, whose league flourished with Michael Jordan at the helm, said he was every bit as good as Michael Jordan. So he was there for sure. Guys, what do you think about the 2009 to 2010 season, the matchup with Phoenix, Boston, all that stuff? Start wherever you want.
Let me just take it real quick because I want to look at it as a whole 3-year snapshot from 07-08 through 2009-10. Again, if we're talking about greatest all-time kind of feats, like Kobe Bryant is still the only player in NBA history to score 600 plus points in 3 consecutive postseason runs. No one's ever done that. Not LeBron, not Jordan, nobody but Kobe Bryant in this span of time. He also played, of the 12 opponents he played over this 3-year span, 11 of them won 50 wins or more in the regular season. The only team that didn't was a 48-win Utah Jazz team he played in the first round the one year. This was an impossible gauntlet. He had Pau Gasol, which I think the world of Gasol, but he's not a top 75 player, which gets me to my next point. Kobe is still the only player in league history to defend the title without a top 75 player as a teammate. This was, again, force of nature type stuff in this 3-year span. And this 09-10 season was just the crowning accomplishment to me. I don't know how he didn't squeeze in another MVP in one of these 2 years. And like, I know LeBron was killing it from an analytics standpoint, and he had the best record in a way weaker Eastern Conference. But how Kobe didn't get another one because he was the best player on the best team that was winning championships with not a super team, not even like a super second option necessarily. This year is probably my favorite Kobe Bryant year, 2009, 2010.
To piggyback off that, I think last year was kind of criminal as well. Like, I think LeBron and Kobe were head to head for MVP, and I think LeBron had like 67 wins, Kobe had 66, something like that. For Kobe to have 66 in the West, I might be off. Maybe it's 66, 65, but for Kobe to have that in the West, where it was at the time a way tougher conference, I think was just criminal. And then this year, specifically this year, Kobe has 7 game-winning shots. If you look at the Western Conference that year,
Yeah.
The 1 seed had 57 wins. The 8th seed had 50. If Kobe misses all of those shots, they're the 8th seed that year. Like, there's no doubt about it that he was the best player in the league that year, and he should have been MVP.
And Dario, do you know real quick who that 8th seed was? Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the it was the Thunder.
Yes.
It was the freaking Thunder.
Yes,
yeah.
bro. The Thunder with Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. That's who Kobe had to play in the 1-8 to get out of the first round. It's just insane how good that conference was.
Yeah.
I honestly, the three straight playoff runs is crazy. At this point, Kobe, we're arguing that Kobe could have had 4 MVPs. He ended with 1. Like, that's just like the media just hated him. Like, and I think that matters so much. And that's why I don't like to bring up the MVPs when we're talking about GOAT debates and stuff.
Sure.
Because in reality, like, this guy wasn't judged fairly throughout his career for it.
Yeah, for sure. RMC, what you got on this? We knocked you guys out in the Western Conference Finals. Did you feel like that was coming? Did you think you were finals bound?
Yep.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was over for us at this point. The West is just too big of a monster. We had passed our prime. You know, I felt like by 2007 was like, okay, guys, if we're not going to do it, it's not going to happen. You know, we're only getting older. We're getting slower. And by this point, when we matched up against the Lakers, I 100% like I didn't think there was a chance in hell we were going to win this. I thought there's no way in hell Kobe doesn't win his 5th championship here. By this time, as a Laker hater, I was I would have been betting on the Lakers if that was the thing I was doing back then. 100%. I had full faith in Kobe. I had full faith in Powell understanding his role. You had Ron Artest in there offering support. And by the way, the true definition of greatness to me, one of them is not joining someone else's greatness. Great players joining you. And that was Ron Artest. Ron Artest intentionally coming up to Kobe and saying, I'm going to help you win a championship, Kobe. That is greatness. You draw in the talent. And I think it gets understated. To this point, when it comes to the GOAT debate that you were talking about, Johnny, 100% this was real. I remember Mark Jackson saying it. Everybody around the league, all the commentators were saying it. At what point do we start having a conversation about Jordan versus Kobe as far as who's the greatest? It was the topic of the entire year. The fact that he cannot win an MVP award in a year where we're talking about him as, is this the greatest player we've ever seen? I think that's blasphemy. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. I don't care what LeBron was doing in the East at that point. Like, he wasn't getting anywhere. You know, his team wasn't a true NBA championship threat, even though they should have been. They weren't getting there. It wasn't truly happening, you know? So I thought at this point, Kobe had done everything to shut up even the biggest hater like me. Why couldn't the league accept it as well? That this guy is a monster. We have to award him because he's earning these awards while he's still in his prime, because it's not going to last long. And I really, truly believe, you guys, I don't know how you feel about it, but after the Colorado stuff, like the NBA, just like there is just, they hated him. Like there was an agenda against Kobe during this time.
Johnny, there's some overlap between our conversation and this one, but I feel like I have to sprinkle this little tidbit in.
Go for it.
Kobe has the 3rd most top 5 MVP finishes in NBA history. I believe it's Kareem with 15 is number 1. LeBron with 14.
In a split league most of the time.
And then Kobe had 11 top 5 MVP finishes, and he was tied with Bill Russell. And then Jordan and Wilt both had 10 top 5 finishes. Every name I just mentioned on that list has at minimum 4 league MVPs.
Yeah.
Kobe has freaking 1. Like if there's any better indicator of how badly this guy was colluded against and hated on by the writers, it's got to be that one, that they only gave him the 1. And that's why, Dario, I'm with you. I don't think MVPs are even valid. Like, don't even bring them up.
Well, how could they be if SGA has twice as many MVPs as Kobe Bryant? Why would we take this serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's the thing I want to talk about. So I think one of the things that holds Kobe back is last impressions are huge on people. And people talk about Game 7 of the NBA Finals, which again, Kobe was a monster to start the series. Kobe did all the scoring in the game that, what was it? Game 5 in Boston, where he scores like 20 straight points for them. No Lakers helping them out whatsoever. He scores 38 points that game. The series should have been over there if he had a little bit of help. And then Game 7 in the NBA Finals, Kobe famously goes 6 of 24. But what pisses me off about this,
so did everybody else.
Yeah, is this was an absolute slugfest.
Look at the score.
And this was not just the score. Watch the game. If you watch the game, the refs were not going to determine this game. They got it to 7. They made their money. They're happy. Now they're going to let the winner just be up to fate. They put away their whistles. Now people are going to say they shot a lot of free throws. They disproportionately shot a small amount compared to what they should have shot based on how physical this game was. Okay. Guys are wrestling each other. Guys are on the floor constantly. It was a slugfest. Yes, Kobe famously goes 6 of 24. But what you fail to mention is that if we look at the Lakers first, Meta was 7 of 18. Powell was 6 of 16. Andrew Bynum was 1 of 5. Lamar Odom was 3 of 8. Jordan Farmer was 0 for 3. More 0 for 3 down here. The Celtics side, Paul Pierce was 5 of 15. Ray Allen, who Kobe's defending, is 3 of 14. It's 21%.
Arguably the greatest shooter of all time, 20%.
Yep. So this was an absolute slugfest. So when your shot's not falling, what do? You got to do the little things. You got to play defense. We saw what he did on Ray Allen. What does he do? Set an NBA playoff high for himself, getting 15 rebounds. Gets the clutch assists, gets the clutch of baskets, and they won.
Yep.
That's what matters to me. They won. I'm so sick and tired of LeBron fans. Let's just say it.
Let it out.
Saying, oh, we're hating on LeBron for 2011. Well, Kobe shot 6 of 24. Listen, when you're not succeeding, that's when you look at the weaknesses and the things that ultimately led to you failing. That's when you look for it. I don't care that Larry Bird also had an 8-point game in the NBA Finals. He filled up the stat sheet in other ways, and they won in 1981. I don't want to hear that.
But Johnny, the argument's ridiculous, though, because who won this series? The Lakers.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Who won in 2011? Not LeBron. That's why it's the thing. Because if LeBron would have laid an egg for 6 games in those finals, but they still won, we would have to shut up and just be like, well, they figured it out somehow.
Yeah, I just think. Sorry, my bad, Skap. I think the difference is watching those games. Like, you don't watch that Game 7 and think Kobe's choking up. Kobe's not playing his game.
This game's ugly. That's what I'm thinking.
It's just an ugly game. He's still shooting his 24 shots. The issue with LeBron James is if you go back to that 2011 Finals, he's not playing like LeBron James. He's a back-to-back MVP, and he's not playing like it at all. Dwayne Wade looked like the best player on his team, and that's the issue when you go back to watching those games.
Also, let me just slide this in quickly. Game 7, Kobe still led both teams in scoring for that game. He led both teams in fourth quarter scoring in that game. Okay, for the series, he led all scorers on either team by 10 points per game. LeBron James was the 5th leading scorer in that 2011 series. He was the 3rd leading scorer on his own team. These things aren't the same.
Yep,
and as you guys highlighted, that was an absolute brutal defensive battle. The Lakers had 30-something points in the 3rd quarter of that game. So the fact that Kobe still found a way to get to 24 points and still found a way to get to the free throw line in the 4th quarter and help close the deal out and lead the 4th quarter in scoring, it's just simply not apples to apples. It's a legitimate bona fide GOAT contender and candidate in Kobe versus to me, just some fraud pretender in LeBron James and his sycophantic bootlicking stand base trying to belittle.
He can't even get through his own insults with making himself crack up. So again, we've seen the iconic image of Kobe holding up 5 fingers after winning his 5th. What has he got on his right index finger? A cast. His finger's broken.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing we're forgetting. Kobe had a game where he scored 20 straight points for the Lakers in these NBA Finals, shooting with a broken finger.
Yep.
The most important finger of his 10 for shooting a basketball. crazy stuff. So
okay,
yeah.
Only thing I want to say before we move on is basketball fans. I know you're all basketball fans watching this right now, guys. If you appreciate defense and you miss defense in the NBA as much as I do, forget about the Kobe, the LeBron, all that crap. Forget about the narratives and the agendas. Just watch this Game 7 as a basketball fan. You will see the most suffocating defense on both sides. Everyone giving every ounce of energy they have to win this Game 7. And I mean, the Lakers just barely coming out with it at the end. Guys, this is one of my favorite games of all time to watch. And I've gone back and watched this one about 10 times. Yeah. Is it a brick fest? Yes. But that's what's beautiful about it, because it's not a bunch of players who are choking and laying an egg. This is because of suffocating defense. And then like Johnny showed, when your shot's not going in because the defense is that good, what do you need? You need second chance opportunities. What did Kobe Bryant switch gears as the leader and do? He got a bunch of rebounds and they ended up with the win. The little things matter, man. And rebounds are so underrated.
For sure. Now, I will say, on a bigger picture type thing, this is where NBA like the course of NBA history shifted. Okay. It was this offseason after this, because this was physical. This was 90s, 80s games dictated between like Celtics and Pistons in the NBA playoffs, where they're like, we're just going to assault each other. Like, this felt like that. And I don't think we've seen an NBA finals game like that since this moment. On top of that, now physicality and everything isn't what's defining an NBA champion. The very next season, we really see the first 3-point shooting, jump shooting team in NBA history win the NBA championship in the Dallas Mavericks. You know, for the longest time, the narrative was, and Charles Barkley regurgitated this all the time, jump shooting teams don't win championships. You got to be a physical team. You got to be a defensive team. And that changes here. Plus, super teams get introduced. And LeBron James going to the Miami Heat. So to me, this was the last game of an era, you know? So moving on to the next season, Lakers, we know what happens this season. They were actually, according to some sources, the odds-on favorite to three-peat. I don't know. I feel like they kind of got a bonus just because of the fact that Kobe getting 6 felt right after a break, because that's what MJ did. Phil Jackson winning 12, having 4 separate three-peats, my God, just seem right. But with Miami, I felt like what they did was just broken and busted. Dallas was on an absolute mission that year. Skap talked about it on a recent thing we did together. That team was extremely injured, our Lakers team. It was a very tough battle to get there. We end up getting swept in the semifinals against the Dallas Mavericks. And the one shot that really haunts me is that potential game-winning shot Kobe shot in game 1 that was just a little long, and it was off back iron. If that shot goes in and now we have confidence and we get one of those games in home court, I feel like the momentum of that series might completely shift. Tough season for the Lakers. Give me some thoughts.
I'll speak real quick to greatness. How great do you have to be for 3 all-stars in their freaking prime in the Eastern Conference to have to join forces in order to stop you from winning more championships? I'm so tired of the Kobe disrespect, you guys. Like, everyone forgets what was going on in real time while we were living these moments. I 100% thought the Lakers are going to win again. Like, once they beat the Celtics, I'm like, next year they got another one. And apparently Dwayne Wade did too, because he has admitted now that he immediately picked up the phone, called up his homie LeBron James, because they needed to find a way to stop Kobe from winning more. And, well, it didn't happen that way. But I mean, to speak to greatness, that's really all I want to say about this year. Is that I really thought they were going to win again, but now learning that this was a truly inside thing, that they had to join forces to take down. So we need to get 3 great players just to beat one great player. Who's greater than who now? I'm sorry, I got the one guy way above the other guys, man. LeBron, I'm sorry. If you wanted to be considered the greatest of all time, you can't team up with other mega stars to take down the other guy who's being talked about as the greatest player in the league at that moment. That's not how it's done. Sorry, anybody take it away. That's really all I got to say.
And for anybody that tries to fault Kobe for Shaq, like Kobe didn't choose Shaq. Like LeBron's choosing these guys. Like when Kobe had a choice, he was like, if you gave me Pau Gasol, great, I'll win multiple championships. Like he just wanted something.
We talked about it on our last pod.
We did.
And I just have to bring it up again. When he wanted to go to Chicago, he's like, Luau Deng can't be a part of the package because I need a guy to help me win a championship. Luau freaking Deng.
Yeah.
It's what Kobe felt like he needed just to give him some help. Not Dwayne Wade, not Kevin Durant, not Chris Paul. No, he wanted Luau Deng to help him in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and speaking of LeBron fans, narratives, and so forth, whenever I crush that 2011 Finals performance by LeBron, because it is the biggest choke job in basically organized sports history, in my estimation.
Agreed.
Say, oh, well, Kobe got swept. Kobe got swept that year by that Mavericks team. Yeah, Kobe was on one leg in the dwindling part of his career, basically at that point. He had substantial knee procedures in the offseason. He still, though, scored like 25 points per game in that 4-game sweep. Pau Gasol was garbage in that series. He scored like 12 points per game on like low 40% shooting. If you gave
Shannon Brown might have had something to do about that. If you know, you know.
But if you gave one-legged Kobe that year's Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, he would have still won. I think he would have won the NBA championship that year.
Dude, come on. You give Kobe Dwayne Wade. Just give him Dwayne Wade. He wins 10 championships. I'll say the same thing about MJ. Like 2 for 4. Did I run away to Cleveland? Anyways. Ridiculous.
All right. We're going on to the next season. We're going to be getting through them a little bit quicker now. Lockout shortened season, 41-25. Now, this one's tough because it felt like we were starting to be on the decline a little bit. Phil Jackson's out now. We've got Mike Brown as our head coach, not instilling much confidence there. There's just younger teams out there. Now, in this lockout shortened season, Kobe actually goes on to compete with Kevin Durant for the scoring title. To me, this was a big one for Kobe Bryant and destroying a lot of narratives. Because if you remember, heading into the final game of the regular season, Kobe had to score 37 points to win the scoring title. So he'd have 3 instead of 2 over KD. Okay. Kobe was dealing with some minor injuries, and they were already locked into a certain seed heading into the playoffs. So he didn't play because he was more focused on being ready for the playoffs and winning there. So he didn't play the final game of the real regular season. Kobe willingly laid down the scoring title, not caring selfishly about stats, because he actually cared about winning when winning mattered. And that's one of the many things that people don't think of when they're just saying, he's just a stat patter. He just selfishly cared about his stats and getting buckets. No, Kobe was ultimately about winning. With that being said, we end up running into an OKC team that was just on a mission that year. Young Russell Westbrook, young Kevin Durant, James Harden coming off the bench, and we lose in 5 games in that series. KD was freaking clutch that series. He was brutal to us. Do you guys have much to say on this? This was kind of a depressing season for me because it felt like we needed to make some changes and we didn't. It was one of those years where we need to get better in the offseason and we didn't. We ran it back and we paid for it.
Yeah, and Johnny, in that series, they lost in 5. Kobe was still, he was still at the very top. He was still like top 3 best player league-wide. Look, if you look at I believe he led that series in scoring over KD. He didn't shoot like a particularly great shooting percentage in that series, but still, he had much less to work with at that point. That was the year the Thunder went on then to get into the NBA Finals. And quite frankly, they had home court advantage over the Heat. They won game 1. I think they should have won game 2. They were up late. There were some iffy calls. The Thunder could have been up 2-0 in the NBA Finals over the Heat in that year. So that Thunder team, obviously, as we know now in hindsight, had 3 league MVPs on it. And I agree. That was just kind of the end of it to me, Johnny. That was like the last. And now we know in hindsight it was the last. That was the last series that Kobe won in a playoff setting, that first round series. So I just look at that he still had enough in his tank at that point to get in and win another one, but there just wasn't enough around him.
Was it his last game of like 42 piece or something like that? Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, as a Lakers fan at this time, though, I was still I feared the hell out of this guy every time I was on a basketball court. I was still thinking they might be able to figure out a way to win another championship. You know, I wasn't a believer in the Miami Big Three at this point after the big old like turd they just made the year before, and I thought, man, if everyone's healthy and everything is just jiving towards the end, this guy could still do it. Like, but. Yeah, that's not the case. It's not how it went down. But I just wanted to speak to the fear factor. Like me as a fan, seeing him on a court, it's like I once he earned my respect and my trust as far as like how good he was on a nightly basis, I thought even a broken down version of Kobe Bryant could still get it done.
Real mind crime. Do you know what you remind me of hearing you talk about Kobe like this real quick? I hated Tom Brady's gut.
I did. Yes, me too.
For like the first 10, 11 years of his career, I hated his guts. And now he's like my second favorite athlete ever behind only Kobe Bryant.
You know, the same exact thing happened to me with Tom Brady. I was always a Peyton Manning guy. I mean, you know, Eli, because I love the Giants, but Peyton, I always thought he was the greatest quarterback, you know, and he's still my favorite quarterback. And I hated Tom Brady. But then when it was all said and done, looking at what Brady accomplished and also remembering the Super Bowl against the Falcons at halftime, I was the only guy at the party that said, I'm not leaving. Like, you got Tom Brady over on the other side. Even though I hate the guy, he might pull this off. And then, yeah, it is exactly like that.
But that's true greatness. And that's what Kobe Bryant did to a lot of people. Like he changed the whole idea about him for people because he was that great. He forced you. Like, I've been waiting for LeBron to force me for 24 years, like Brady did for me and like Kobe did for you. And I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
What I forgot to mention about this season, they did try to make a massive move in this offseason, and the NBA blocked it. It was the 2011 offseason where they tried to get Chris Paul. And so a Lakers team that really kind of knew that they weren't at their best had to run it back. And that was so insanely frustrating. Now, people are going to look at me and be like, oh, Laker fan, you have no room to complain with how much success you've had. Yeah, no, for sure. I recognize that as a Lakers fan. But to me, this is bigger than a Lakers fan. To me, this isn't just about the Lakers. This is about how Kobe Bryant's career ended and how you effed it up. Like, that's what this is about. Because imagine if the Dennis Rodman acquisition was blocked and it ruins the tail end of Michael Jordan's career. That's what we could have seen here. We could have got LeBron James and the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals against Kobe and Chris Paul, maybe eventually Kobe, Chris Paul, and Dwight Howard. But they blocked it, and they said it was for basketball reasons. And you know why I said it? Because it was bullshit. It wasn't for basketball reasons. They did it because it had nothing to do with basketball. Other owners were terrified that they were going to make another super team right after they just had Miami make a super team. So New Orleans, they didn't care about the general manager making the move that was actually the best move for their basketball team. They were like, how's it going to affect us? It's going to hurt us.
Yeah.
And so to me, it was disgusting that they blocked that deal because it wasn't in the best interest in New Orleans. They were just terrified of what the Lakers were building. And everything that happens after this point is like a domino effect. We're desperate to get a good point guard. We don't have Derek Fisher anymore, so we bring in Steve Nash, who's old and falling apart. Because he's old and falling apart, we're struggling to make a playoff team next year in 2012 to 2013. So Kobe has to play 7 straight games, playing 48 minutes, whereas Achilles eventually pops.
Yep.
Everything sad that happened with Kobe's career all comes back to this one freaking moment. And every time somebody tells me to get over it, I say, screw yourself, because they ruined the end of Kobe's career, and I'm not getting over it.
Man, Johnny, I just did a reaction a couple of days ago to literally this exact topic because I wanted to understand it more than I have. And you're exactly right. It was because it was about 25 to 30% of the owners, the teams were actually losing money because and the big 3 did not help this.
Right.
So basically it was just a certain amount of teams that were making all the money. And then all these other teams had no shot in hell at getting stars or keeping stars, like Toronto, Cleveland. You know, they found out because your star could just abandon you at any point.
But is that basketball reasons or business reasons?
100%. No, that's why I agree with you on this one. This one was done to spread the talent across the league. And I understand that on a business sense. But yeah, as a basketball fan, they totally did. They totally did stop it because they were ending negotiations when this trade went down. Apparently, all the owners were in the same room. And then this trade happens behind everyone's back. So all the owners basically got real loud and said, that's not fair. You can't do that while we're all here. And then basically they pressured David Stern to just call it off and rescind the entire trade.
And I just want to add the context that it's not like this was a traditional super team where they're just adding him on with everything else. They were going to lose, I believe, Lamar Odom and Pau Gasol as part of this transaction.
Chris Paul. Yep.
Yeah. That is not a super team. Yeah,
no,
I agree.
But
they were going to have Andrew Bynum with all his injury concerns as their big man.
Yeah.
But at that point, we're just like, that's a scary tandem, but there's still a lot of question marks with that team for sure.
Yes, but the very next year, Kobe and Chris Paul were both first-team All-NBA. So I think they likely would have won another championship. Or at the very least, Kobe never ruptures his Achilles.
Yeah.
And he probably has another 3 more good years after that where he's still a top 5 player and 27, 28 points per game, whereas none of that happened as a result.
Dwight Howard the next season, he would have been so much better with Chris Paul too.
I think
Chris Paul made
Let's
centers so much better. DeAndre Jordan, Tyson Chandler, like everywhere he went, he's turning good centers into great centers. But sorry, go ahead, Dario.
No, I was gonna say with that Chris Paul trade, there were rumors that Dwight Howard was coming next. So I think that's what the league was really, really scared about. But I do agree. Like if Kobe has Chris Paul, I think he breaks the scoring record before LeBron does. LeBron probably eventually does, but I think he breaks it first. And because he was already en route for that. And he was like the youngest guy to do all that stuff before LeBron did.
Yeah.
So that was 2012. It was sad because I was honestly waiting for the Lakers to fight harder, like legally fight harder, just being like at the very least, like on the terms of it's not a fair competitive balance. Like the basketball reasons challenge that, but they didn't. Chris Paul goes to the Clippers and it is what it is. So then desperate to get better, we have this offseason. We do end up getting Dwight Howard in a trade for Andrew Bynum, which Dario's right. That was, basically foreshadowed for quite a while. We had the feeling that was coming. And then we added Steve Nash as the point guard.
Yeah.
I was a little bit excited because of the name, but Nash was not the right choice. We start the year off with Mike Brown. We go 0-8 in the preseason. Everybody's like, well, it's a preseason. Don't panic. It's just a preseason. No big deal. Then we go, 1-4 to start the season. And 5 games into the regular season, we fire Mike Brown. So then Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak and all of their wisdom go, who should we bring on to replace them? Phil Jackson, who's won 5 championships with us?
Yeah.
Or Mike D'Antoni, because he's the perfect fit with our 40-year-old point guard. Let's go with that guy.
Now, I heard that I heard Phil mention, and I think it was this year, that he offered because he it was his hip, or he was really in a lot of pain during this time.
Yes.
Physical pain. But he offered to coach all the home games and to be like the advisor for all the away games.
Yes.
And then when it comes playoff time, then we'll figure something out. And I know that's not orthodox, but Jim Buss, what the hell? Why you say yes to everything that Phil offers at this point? He's got 11 championships. What else do you need? Like,
what happens when Steve Kerr and the Warriors had a good system in place and Steve Kerr isn't available to be the coach?
I remember.
Yeah. They go 24-1 with Luke Walton as the coach, and everybody's convinced Luke Walton's this great coach. No, it's the same thing in the business world. If you've got a good manager, you don't treat them to be so dependable on you. You teach them to run a good system. So then when you leave, it's like nothing changes. It's a well-oiled machine. And Phil Jackson could have done that. And it was a disaster because there was a funny clip on Jay Leno, which I will insert here.
But I said, Mitch, what's your reasoning? And he said, we think he's the best coach for this group of guys.
So did you feel a little disrespected that they didn't?
Actually, I really didn't. I knew it'd be pushing it to do it.
Yeah.
I knew it'd be a real effort. I said, traveling and picking it up and going and playing those back-to-backs, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock at night in the hotels and stuff. I have to think about doing that. So, it was an arduous task. I knew that. But I thought, hey, we can win a championship, maybe. And I went down and talked to Jeannie about it, and I said, the only thing I really don't want to do is lose in the finals. That's the worst thing that can happen to a coach.
Sure.
I've done that twice. I don't like that.
Yeah. So what do you think of D'Antoni as coach?
Mike, with the right personnel, is a great coach.
Okay.
And this personnel really wasn't quite fit for Mike's coaching.
Tell me why.
Well, he likes a 3-point shooting group of guys. He likes 2s and 3s in the corner. His great guard, Nash, was on the team. Obviously, Steve's a great guard. He can distribute the ball. But that other big guy has to be they call it now a stretch 4. He has to be able to shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Powell wasn't quite fit into that. Powell and Howard together.
Okay.
Too big, too much of a load for that post. And he doesn't really like guys in the post. He likes guys outside.
Okay.
He just said, he predicted everything that was going to go wrong with this team. Mike D'Antoni didn't know what to do with Pau Gasol. He tried to turn him into a stretch 4, and Pau Gasol was never that. So at a certain point, he put him on the bench. He had Pau Gasol coming off the bench as a 6th man because he was so confused on what to do with him. It was an absolute disaster. Skap, rant with me, damn it. What are your thoughts on this season?
I will, Johnny, because let me tell you a little something about this season. It should have been Kobe's another MVP. I firmly believe that he should have won the MVP this year.
What do we have, 5 now, Skap? 5 of them, I think?
Guys, this team was garbage. The team, all the things you just outlined, the idiocy, the buffoonishness of this franchise. Kobe that year in his aged 34 season, 17th year in the league, he scored more points, total points, than MVP LeBron. He averaged more points per game than MVP LeBron. He played more minutes than MVP LeBron in his 17th season. And he needed to do it because this team was garbage, and he dragged them to the playoffs, and in so doing, sacrificed the rest of his career. Is there anything more valuable? Could there be more of a testament to value? The guy literally put it all on the line to get them into the playoffs while putting up that ridiculous stat line for a 17th year player, most valuable player, MVP.
He was never going to win it this year because they love their advanced stats. At a certain point, it was around the time when advanced analytics became a thing and the stat nerds infiltrated. That just became the angle. That's why now you've got guys winning MVP as 6th seed because they love their advanced stats. And that was kind of ushered in with LeBron, who was super efficient, had the advanced numbers, had the 27-game win streak. But Kobe this year, from carrying this team, because when you say they're trash, there's so much context that needs to go into that. Wrong fit from the head coach. Steve Nash is old. His back's hurt. Pau Gasol had plantar fasciitis in his right foot, so he's missing a lot of time and he's injured. Meta World Peace is old and has declined, and he was terrible from 3-point range. Again, we already talked about when Pau Gasol is in there, D'Antoni didn't know what to do with him. And even Dwight Howard had a torn labrum, and Kobe's trying to push him to play through it, because the reality is the reason why Kobe played so good this season is because he knew this is his last chance at a championship.
Yep.
I think he knew. Year 17, 34 years old, as tired as he was, as hard as he pushed, and he probably got the sense that Dwight Howard hasn't signed an extension. He's a free agent at the end of this year, and he could tell because he's interacting with him on a day-to-day basis. He's probably not happy here. And so I think Kobe just knew this is it, and that was his last stand leading up to him popping his Achilles and walking off the court.
Yeah. I think this season for sure Kobe was a top 3 guy. It's a little hard for me to say he was better than LeBron only because of the defensive end. I don't think Kobe was there defensively.
It's been established. Skap's a bigger Kobe lover than you, Dario. I'm sorry.
But if we're talking about
comments,
if we're talking about MVPs though, I was arguing Kobe should be MVP this year, but I did understand, like, they were the 8th seed. Like, and we were fighting, and it was like fighting to get into the playoffs because of it.
Mhm.
Like, Kobe was having, I think it was 8 straight games or 7 straight games with 40 something minutes play. I think there were at least the last 4 games he was playing like every single minute.
Yeah, and halfway through that, Ramona Shelburne, who's still around doing it on ESPN, she wrote an article saying 4 games into that, if they keep this up, Kobe could seriously get hurt and it could ruin the very end of his career. Like, we saw the warning signs, and because Kobe's such a warrior, he fought through it anyway.
Yeah.
I tend to blame Mike D'Antoni quite a bit for what happened to Kobe at the end of this season, because if he had Phil would have talked to him. Like, actually, not just talked to him. Phil would have forced him out of the game to rest a couple of minutes at a time, because he understands what Kobe's doing. He's trying to single-handedly do this. Phil had been with Kobe during these eras where he had to do this, you know? So I think Mike D'Antoni, I mean, he was a fun Phil. Yeah. He doesn't have Kobe's respect, and nor should he. Like, he gave us a couple of really fun years here in Phoenix, but we never won with him. You know what I mean?
But if Phil Jackson's there, he's not having Pau Gasol come off the bench.
No, he's not.
We're not such a terrible team.
We're back in a triangle.
Yeah, which means we're not in a desperate position where Kobe has to play all those games just to make the playoffs. And so, it was just also that decision.
The infighting between Dwight Howard and Kobe, maybe there could have been a resolution to this, because, Zen Master's big picture at a certain point. All right, boys, you got your hate out for each other. We need both of you at your peak in order to do what we came here to do. And that's what he was so good at doing with his team. Mike D'Antoni, he was a go with the flow kind of guy, no conflict. Everyone just run the scheme. And, not to criticize him, but we're comparing him to Phil Jackson here. And I'll always look at that and say, if Kobe had Phil, he wouldn't have had to, or wouldn't have been even allowed to push his body to that unsafe red zone nonstop until his body eventually gave out. And who knows what would have happened at this point. Would be Skap 1 second before, when this season started, even though Nash was obviously broken, he was already training his disciple, Goran Dragic, over in Phoenix and splitting minutes with him. I knew his time was limited, but man, if Nash could have given even a half decent year that year, I remember getting mad again as a Suns fan. Here goes my Steve Nash to the Lakers, and I'm sitting here thinking they're about to win 2 or 3 more. Like, holy crap, it's about to go down. So just to give you guys the outside of LA fandom perspective, the Kobe fear factor was real still for me.
Guys, look, I know you're thinking, oh, what a Kobe schmoozer this Skap Attack guy is, like, saying he should have been MVP. Guys, he had the second most points in the NBA that year. And he posted his career best in assists per game total that season.
I saw that. And he shot 40%.
He was baby Magic Johnson for a little bit. Like,
and
for
he
a good, like,
his 17th season, guys, dragging that collection of injured guys into the playoffs, and he literally ended his career doing.
Let me support your point, Skap, and here it is. This is the part that pissed me off. For years, we heard Kobe couldn't be MVP because he had Shaq. And yet we get mad about LeBron James going to play with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade on Dwayne Wade's team.
Yep.
And he can win MVPs? Where's the narrative that LeBron's got all the help in the world, so he can't win MVP? If you want to talk about individual stats and how impressive they were, LeBron had an all-time great season in 2013. Absolutely. But based on the way they played games with Kobe, on top of the fact that if we're talking about valuable in a literal sense, that Miami team's making the playoffs with a good seed without LeBron James.
I agree.
The only reason that Lakers team, with all those injuries, with all that drama, with all those bad general management decisions, could even sniff the playoffs was because of Kobe Bean Bryant. So if you're talking about valuable in the literal sense, Yeah, dude, I got no arguments with that. That was Kobe that year for sure.
Also, Johnny, Nikola Jokic is literally shattering every all-time efficiency and analytics mark known to man and not getting MVPs because the writers now have some narrative going against him and they don't want to give him any more MVP. It's literally, they just make up what the criteria is to support whoever they like and whoever they want to vote for or vote against.
Michael Wilbon, Rachel Nichols saying we can't give Luka Doncic any MVP consideration because he doesn't play defense. When they voted for freaking James Harden and Steve Nash all those years, nobody has voted for James Harden more times than Michael Wilbon. And so, yeah, when you're talking about these voters and their inconsistencies, it's been terrible for years now.
We got to rise up to a level in this game where we get some votes, man. I would love to vote for the MVP.
Can you imagine YouTubers? That'd be pretty crazy. They're not picking us, though. We keep on slandering dudes like LeBron and stuff. They're not picking us.
LeBron going to retire eventually.
5 years.
All right.
Yeah, right. Said 3, and that pissed me off, Dario. You're going to say 5.
I just wanted to troll.
I feel like we could skim past these next few because 2013 to 2014, now it's getting ugly. 27 to 55. Kobe, Skap, RMC, I want to know, and Dario, I want to know how you all felt when Kobe tears his Achilles, coming back to play in his 18th season at the age of 35. And we had the cap space to sign 2 max contract level players until Kobe signs an extension so massive that we only have room for 1. Were you guys a little bit annoyed at Kobe at that time? Because I'm a bigger Lakers fan than I am a Kobe fan. Like, this goes all the way back to me being a child. So I was admittedly a little bit annoyed at Kobe. Then we're trying to get guys like LaMarcus Aldridge, and Kobe's doing a bad job recruiting and all that stuff. Where were you guys at this point in time?
I can go first.
Okay.
I did not care. Kobe Bryant went at that point, 17 years.
Well, this is into 18,
yeah. So blood, sweat, and tears, going through the ups and downs. So you better pay that man. So that I felt like he earned every single penny. I don't even care that 60 piece was him paying them back. You know, think about how much money they made off of that 60 piece game. So they got it back there though. They're fine.
I mean, I care about winning, but I get what you're saying.
I don't care.
All right. Go ahead. Skap, you making it 3-on-1?
I'll say this. I think if Kobe had any faith in the franchise to deliver him a legitimate supporting cast, I think he would have taken last or whatever, taken a team from. I think he just had absolutely no faith in the way things had transpired basically throughout the entirety of his career. I think he had no faith in them to do what was right for him from a supporting cast standpoint. So he was just going to take the money then at that point. And really, Johnny, I lumped the last 3 years essentially into just one. We could just go through it in that capacity if you want. Yeah. I mean, it was just one season-ending thing, it seemed like, after the next, until he got into the 20th year and was like, all of the accumulation of all of the wear and tear and degradation of my body. It's like, I can't be the best player in the world on any given night anymore. Then I can't play. I don't want to play anymore. And then that was it. And he just did whatever he could for the last, 3/4 of that 20th year to give us all as good of a show as he possibly could.
Yeah, for sure.
I think 100% he earned the payday. And I mean, especially the way he went out. I mean, can we get it in the comments, you guys? Like a cheers emoji or something. The guy went back out there to shoot those damn free throws after he tore his like, you don't do something like that unless you really care. So if you're a Lakers fan or a Kobe fan, like, you got to appreciate the hell out of doing something like that just to get you 2 more points, just to help his team out, get 2 more points. So I understand as a Laker fan, Johnny, that might have pissed you off, but just as like a fan of these athletes in general, man, he earned his payday. If MJ earned his payday in that last three-peat with the Bulls, making all that money, Kobe definitely earned that right at this point. And like Skap says, once that experiment blew up between Nash and Dwight Howard, I think everybody knew. And even me as the Kobe fear, at this stage, that was gone. Now it was more like a tribute to the man. Let's just celebrate him while he's still here, because it's not going to last a long time. And I don't see a problem with him getting celebrated with a big payday as well. You know, because I saw it as kind of like a, hey, Kobe, I know everybody, it's the trendy thing to just abandon a team now when we're having trouble. How about we do this for you? What do you say? You know,
Sure.
Because he didn't have to end his career like this. He could have been a 6-man for a championship team. He could have done it, but I'm glad it ended this way. And I really think he deserved the money.
Last thing, go ahead, Dario,
sorry,
and then we'll get into the last topic.
When he popped his Achilles, I didn't realize the severity at the time. So I'm, naturally, especially with how Kobe just was throughout his entire career, I just expected him to bounce back and be fine. Like I think he came back from an Achilles tear like quicker than anyone at that point. I think it was like a 10, 11 month recovery. And I literally was telling all my friends, I'm expecting him to be there for game 1. And he's not, he was not supposed to. I think he should, maybe he was there for the beginning of the season. If not, it was like within the first 10 games of the season, I want to say. And for him to, I think he tears his shoulder or labrum, whatever, within those first, 10 games or so. I don't know how many games he actually played, but that was like a gut punch. And then seeing him at that level,
injury after injury,
he wasn't the same anymore, and you could just really see it. And that was hard for me to embrace at the time.
So let's talk about this last thing we're going to talk about. Then we'll wrap up this behemoth of a video. Thank you guys for sticking this out. My God, I tried to get through it. If I had been more relaxed about this could have been 5-6 hours long, honestly.
No, you know what? This is years in the making, Johnny. So this is appropriate. This is appropriate. Hopefully there's some of you guys still listening in to us talk about this.
For sure. Yeah. Kobe's final game, 60 points, 22 of 50 shooting, closing out the way that it did.
Yep.
Put that game in perspective. People love to bring up the 50 shots. Wasn't that efficient? That sort of thing. Utah was letting him score and everything. I want each of you guys to put that final game in your own words. How would you give an honest perspective and try to encapsulate that performance?
Can I go first since you guys are the bigger Kobe fans?
Do it.
All right. I actually just had a conversation with a buddy of mine about this exact same game, many beers in, but I still remember what we talked about. I compared this game to Rocky Balboa, the movie, which would be Rocky 6, because this is a man who he has some stuff left in the attic, some stuff left in the basement. Whatever he had left, he put it all out on the floor for this one final game. Didn't matter if his body was saying, no, please stop. Didn't matter if he got injured. Nothing mattered except for letting that out. And I got to see him post-retirement as a peaceful man. And I really think this had a lot to do with it. Because if you guys are Rocky fans, Rocky never got that satisfaction, because the last time he was really in the ring was him getting his head punched in by the Russian. He never got that that opportunity to say goodbye to the sport. Kobe got that here, and I thought it was a wonderful way to do it. I did not expect it. Shaq challenged him to get 50. You could just see how exhausted Kobe is. He could barely breathe out there, sweat dripping all over the place. He really looked like he was a heavyweight boxer in this fight. And he went out the way I wish Michael Jordan went out, because I was upset about his final game as a Wizard, because all of us fans just wanted him to just sling the ball, just shoot it. It's the last time we get to see it. Kobe knew that going in. I'm really glad he did. And I'm just going to leave it off by saying, who won the damn game?
Yep. Yep. Dario?
Yeah. Yep. So I want to say, I think Kobe's career went perfect for him. His mindset, his everything. I think he needed every single year to happen the way that it did. And I think the ending is perfect for how he would want to end it. The beginning, obviously starting out as a role player and just needing that challenge and constant challenge throughout his entire career. And then finally, put in all that blood, that work to get to that point. Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears. For him to be like, this is it. I'm gonna give the rest that I have to the game, and I'm calling it quits. It was just perfect. I'm mad that I missed it. I literally didn't realize it. I don't know how I didn't realize it was Kobe's last game, and I find out about it in the morning. I watch it, and I was so pissed.
Dude, were you watching the Golden State game instead, or a lot of people did?
I think I did, but then like I know I want to sleep early that day because at the time I was graduating college.
You're on the East Coast too. So
and I was like focused on that at the time, and then my friend texts me, and he's like, Kobe had 60, and I'm like, what? And
it was such a terrible season too. I think there was a lot of Laker fans who like checked out pretty early in the season just because it was so. I'm a little bit like, really, Dario, but at the same time, I'm cutting you some slack because
honestly, I'm still pissed at myself about it. So
I wish we all could have been there, man. Could you imagine being in that arena?
Oh my god, just electric.
We just talked about this on Skap's channel. You'll see the video. It's at the tail end of it. Skap went. I almost went.
Oh, that's why you got that smile, huh? You were there, Skap?
I was at
you were
the
there
game
for the Kobe chance?
I was in Staples, and actually my mom is a big Kobe fan as well, and she doesn't fly, so I couldn't get her to Staples with me for the finale. So we drove from Pennsylvania to New Orleans to watch his third to last game, like 2 or 3 days before the finale in Staples, and we were very close to the court. We were like, I could see Kobe. I was like 20 feet from Kobe when he was on the bench. And he was, guys, I shit you not, he came out of the game in that game and was entombed in ice. Like he had a full sleeve on both shoulder to wrist in ice, both knees and ankles and everything iced. And the whole arena just stood defiantly chanting for him to come back for like 15 minutes. And finally, he's just like begrudgingly rips the ice bags off and runs back in and chucks a couple more shots up. To say this guy was on his last leg is an understatement. He had no legs. Like he had nothing left. So that finale was a microcosm to me of his entire career, a perfect ending, fighting through like all of the adversity, like overcoming all of the challenges. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't that efficient, but damn, did he put on an amazing show. And when you looked up at the end of it, he was making the winning plays. He was scoring all those consecutive baskets. Guys, I cried probably 37 times throughout the course of that game, being in the building. And it was it is still one of the defining moments of my life. Like me getting married probably maybe one other day, and that being in that game in that moment, and just the atmosphere of it all is something that I truly will never forget, and something that honestly an experience that means the world to me.
Yeah. So I'm going to push back on the narrative that it wasn't very efficient. When they talk about efficiencies, 50% from the field is not league average. Okay. League average, that's a certain percentage, but then there's percentages by position. The average efficiency for a guard year by year is typically 42 to 43% from the field. Kobe was better than that. Kobe shot 44% from the field. On top of that, it was the Kobe show.
Yep.
Absolutely everybody was watching it. It was nationally televised. It was the last game of his career. You think he's nervous? He admitted he was nervous. So he started the game 0 for 6. Okay.
Yep.
After that 0 for 6, he went 22 of 42. Okay. So after he got the jitters out, he's 50% from the field. Yeah. Were they letting him score? Listen, they tried to contest it. We knew early that day that Utah had been officially eliminated from the playoffs because of what happened with another team that was in contention. So they quite literally had nothing to play for. With that being said, I still saw them play real defense, and they were still down double digits with just a few minutes left. If Kobe misses any one of those perimeter shots of like his final 5 shots, they lose. But he made every single one of them while they were contested. Okay. So to me, bro, say what you want. 50 shot, I don't care. You have to shoot a lot of shots to get 60 points, especially if you're not going to live at the free throw line like Bam Adebayo or whoever's scoring 1 million points nowadays. And so for me, it was just legendary. Even with, I understand there was no real stakes in the game and everything. what he did was not easy, especially considering the fact that, yeah, he did it without legs, dude. It perfectly summarizes the warrior and the showman that Kobe Bryant is. And that to me just made it a great, great ending. Not perfect, because perfect for me doesn't look like finishing your career on a 17-65 team. And I know even Kobe agreed with that. But as far as knowing what we were going into with that game in a vacuum, that's a perfect game. It's a perfect way to end it.
And I'll say this, Real Mind Crime, just to rub it in a little bit more. I was at the Jordan game too in Philadelphia. And I was at Tom Brady's last game ever, that the loss in the playoffs to the Cowboys in Tampa.
What?
So
were you rich before YouTube, Skap? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, what is this? I was stuck at work for 13 hours. How did you do this?
I was looking at my wallet going, damn, I guess it's not happening.
Honestly, I was so mad that like I didn't actually get my first like big boy job until after Kobe retired, because I didn't get to watch. I never got to watch Kobe live. Like, that's like, as a Mahomes fan, I'm like, I have to go to Mahomes games and stuff just because I want to experience it. Yeah. So
yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Well, good for you, Skap.
I love you
and
all.
the voice of Christian Bale. Oh, good for you.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
Yeah. Yay, Skap got to go to all the coolest games of all time. It sounded different when I was like, wouldn't it have been cool if we got to do this?
He's like, actually, I've done that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
multiple times.
Guess what? It was cool.
I was at Babe Ruth's.
Well, your
final
favorite
game.
player too. Like.
I am Babe Ruth. Oh.
This was tons of fun, guys. We're well over 3 hours now. So seriously, thank you to each one of you for being a part of this.
Nah, guys, we got to go 8 hours and 24 minutes.
Yeah, right. No, this was a pleasure. So again, thank you guys for being a part of this. And I mean, if you've been around for this long to see the entire video, I'm sure you know all of these guys. But guys, take like just 60 seconds to just plug your stuff, do your sales pitch. Skap, tell me about your channel.
Skap Attack. You can see the little name there, just SKAP space attack. I just went over 100,000 subscribers, so it would be great to help get me on my way to my next milestone, I guess, which is 1 million. That's the next plaque thing anyway. So yeah, check it out, guys. And Johnny, thank you so much for having me.
Well, my next milestone that I hope you guys help me get to is 110,000 subscribers. That way I win this bet against Skap Attack here. But that's up to you guys as fans. But no, like,
so the bet is whoever it's between RMC and Skap. Whoever gets 110 first, the loser has to, we say, make positive LeBron content. Either Skap needs to make, and he's going to release it on April Fool's. So
can you imagine the Skap video? Dun, 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 dun. He's like, oh, LeBron James.
LeBron James, the great LeBron. Yeah.
It's going to be released on April Fool's if Skap is a loser. So I can't wait to see whatever you come up with, Skap. And RMC, he's a reaction channel. So he'll have to react to the most positive, glazing.
I threw it in a comment earlier today, Johnny. You were in that comment thread too. And I was like, if I lose, I'm totally finding like an old Johnny Arnett video where he's like glazing LeBron, and I'm going to react the hell out of it to pull him in with me.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm totally in support of that.
RMC, can we get a real live update subscriber count? Okay, what's the exact number that I'm looking at right now for you?
All right, hold on. Give me a sec. 101,243.
I'm 180 ahead of you exactly.
No, guys, I saw you all in the comments after the last podcast. Come on, man, hit that subscribe button. I don't want to make that kind of content. Anyways, okay, just to wrap up my thing, The Real Mind Crime, you see it there. There's also a music channel I just started. I launched called Which One's Pink. Feel free to check that out. I hope you do. It'd be great. But considering this is a Kobe Bryant thing, guys, I just wanted to we went through everything. I just wanted to end this by saying he's top 2 all time on my list. He deserves all the respect in the world. If he won me over, I find it shocking that he didn't win more people over, because it was hard to meet a bigger Kobe hater to me. Just like Skap said, it was hard to meet a bigger Tom Brady hater than I was. And these are two guys that earn my respect. I would not be here for 3.5 hours talking about Kobe if that didn't happen. So I just, you guys pouring out for Kobe Bryant. We miss him. I miss him as a man. He was inspiring me after his career with everything he accomplished.
100%.
In fact, I can't remember the name of the book because I just got it yesterday, but that last book he did with the tennis book story, I just got that in the mail. Like this guy, he impacted my life, not just in a competitive way, but also when I was going through some dark times. His competitive spirit reminded me of who I was when I was younger. And I got to say, for the last 10 years, I've been so mentally healthy because a lot of his motivation, the no excuse mentality. So guys, the world is a tricky place right now. It's a tough world to live in. Remember what Kobe would always talk about. Remember what Kobe did. Don't make excuses. Keep your head up. Keep fighting. Keep doing what you need to do to survive. Yep. Take it away, you guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah. Dario, what you want to plug? The channel we're on? Johnny, you got to start your own, brother. Yeah. You see more Dario takes from the biggest Kobe fan on the planet. No, what we're going to do, Skap's pissed off. I can see it.
Wait, guys, last thing to put in the comments. Who's the bigger Kobe fan out of here?
We're going to do that. But at some point, we're going to bring you all back and we're going to do the Kobe trivia episode. And Russell will be doing the trivia questions, and the four of us will be competing to see who takes home. And maybe that'll determine who the biggest fan is of all. But in the meantime, let us know in the comment section who the biggest Kobe fan is. Thank you for watching this whole time. Go watch Kobe Bryant's Muse, read his tennis book, all that good stuff.